Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the APAC Monthly. I'm your host, the Thunder from Down Under, the beautiful Australian caster, Edamame TV. Joining me today, we've got Seal Wall. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing really great actually. Thanks for the really quick and brief introduction. And yeah, we have the first APAC monthly ever, which if you don't know what APAC is, it's Asia and Oceania region both mixed in together. So currently we do have 27 players registered. If you feel like competing, you definitely still have time to go register. All you have to do is boot up Trackmania, go onto the events page, move to live, and you'll be able to find APAC monthly. The only really qualification, there's only one thing you need to be in is, you have to actually live in Asia, Oceania to join. But, if you're in Asia, Oceania, feel free to join. You still have a lot of time to register. And yeah, passing it back on to you, Edamame.
It's definitely one of those exciting things where we're going to be, seeing a lot of great players from all around Asia and Oceania. We've got a lot of Australian players registered. We've got some beautiful names from the Indian Trackmania League. I know when I was looking at the list, I recognized some names such as Instinct, Kunal, and Neil there. Looking at the Australian players, we have people like Winky Face, and we've got Chriso there. Some really well-known names in the community, so I'm really excited to see how this tournament's going to go. Do you want to talk a bit about the format of this one?
So currently the format is, pretty straightforward. We have the time attack, which is the qualification stage. You'll have 1 minute for warm-up and also 7 minutes for every single track. The top 16 times will move on into the next round of 16 stage, which from then it is cup mode, where it starts off at 100 points. The first two to reach finalists and ultimately win the game will move on to the next round. And at the end of all the brackets, when it goes into the grand finals, it will be a 140 point cup mode, but there will only be one winner. The rest will be determined by the system itself and also basically who has more points or who entered finalists earlier, etc.
It's going to come down to, the biggest winner takes all. It's going to be one king at the top who's going to get not only 10 points towards further FastPoint events that will give them a benefit at the end of this season. It will also give them $10, which is enough to get yourself a nice dinner. Maybe go and treat yourself to a nice pizza like I've got as soon as I finish this cast. But we do have time for registrations, folks. So make sure if you do want to compete, go into the events tab. Make sure you find the APAC monthly and make sure you register. We've only got a few minutes left on that one. And I'm excited to get into this. What are your thoughts heading into the first few qualifiers?
Honestly, the qualifier stage is where we get to see, the players, how fast they can pull out their times, especially in a sitting where you are forced to pull out the best times possible in a time span. So it's a lot of hunting. But eventually, I think the more interesting part to watch is definitely the rounds and the matches, how players can regularly set times, how they try and play consistent, how they top over each other in terms of pace and speed, and how certain players favor certain tracks.
Definitely think it's going to come down to not only consistency on one style and getting a good time, so making sure you're consistent across the board on all the different surfaces. Obviously, most people know, your tarmac, your dirt, your grass, but we've got to account for those difficult ones, such as plastic and ice. There's always going to be something interesting coming with these maps. I know that the builders have put a lot of time and effort into making these maps look wonderful for this competition, and we got to thank them for the work they've done. So seeing how these players are going to be competing and seeing how they do on the different styles will be the most interesting thing. But I do believe we are going to be closing registrations in 2 minutes, folks. Make sure you get your registrations in. We do have 27 players. We've just had a new registration, which is exciting. We're going to have a few minutes to just make sure everything's set up and get underway as we do head into the qualifiers. But just looking at the playlist, are there any players that seem to stand out to you?
So there are a few players from the previous version of AOTC, which is Spring 2022. We have a missing player who wasn't playing, actually Ainul, one of the players who played basically every single previous iteration, who is also from Malaysia like myself. And he's currently quite up there in terms of the Asian leaderboard in the FastPoint campaign. We also have Kuda Jinkrak, another player who is really talented. We have a few other names, Kunal Nami from, the ITL, as you've seen. Probably both really good as well. And PRL, an up-and-comer who previously did pretty well. He shocked everyone, a pretty small underdog. And Rezier, a rather older player coming into the tournament. And from the Oceanic scene, we have Callus Cobra, Mentrius Smithy, and also Winky, as you said just now, and Crizzle.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good names there. As you guys may know, I did cast the Indian Trackmania League, so I recognize a couple of names from there. Sankit, who was actually the number 6 seed in that, did really well and unfortunately made it. I believe he made it to the top 8, but was knocked out in his qualifiers for those grand finals. Instinct as well, another player who made the top 8. We've got Kunal, as we mentioned before. Kunal actually came 2nd place overall, losing out to Neil in the grand final. It was a really close fight in the end, a lot of really good rounds, but Neil just had a clean sweep across the board, was able to take 40 points on a lot of clean maps. And it is kind of a relief for Kunal knowing that he's not having to go against Neil in this tournament. However, Kunal will be having to compete against some other really great names. You did mention Rezia there. We've also got Kelva Awesome, who is another really high leaderboard player as well. I've seen him put out a lot of really good results from what he's been competing in, so it's definitely one of those things to watch out for. From the Australian team, representing my home country, we've got Chriso, we've got Winky Face, we've got Kian. Kian is one of those underrated players who I've seen put out some really good results, but his name just slips under the radar when you see him on Cup of the Days and Track of the Days and stuff. So I'm interested to see how he goes, especially heading into this tournament. As you mentioned, we do have Kujakrin Crack there from, I believe, Indonesia. A beautiful player, really good on a lot of styles, really high placements on the leaderboards as well. So he's definitely going to be one to watch out for. But we have a good selection here. It's not we're going in just going, oh, we've just got a bunch of random people. We've got some strong competition, and that's going to make the first APAC Monthly really exciting as we do close registrations now. Before we get into the qualifiers, I should mention as well, I did mention before that we do have the points that are going to be stacking up through the month. There's another event that goes with this, right? It's not just APAC Monthly, correct?
It's not just APAC Monthly. Further down the road, there will be another version of AOTC, and by joining that, you can also gain the FastPoint points from that. Yes, the FastPoint points from the AOTC events. And if you join, you can start to rack up the points for a pretty cool perk at the end of the year, which we will find out when it's fully released, because there are some things which is currently going on in the back scenes of FastPoint. So yeah, it should be announced relatively soon. But yeah, you can stay tuned for those news. But for now, yes, you can gain points, you can get perks at the end of the year, and that should all be something to look forward to.
I am just hoping that the perk at the end of the year is a nice FastPoint t-shirt. I mean, wouldn't it be cool to just have a white t-shirt, FastPoint logo straight across it, represent the organization that runs these amazing competitions, maybe even a mug as well. Make sure you get your coffee, put it in your FastPoint mug so I can have something awesome to show when I'm casting. That would be a great perk at the end of the year, but I think this is going to be a little bit more significant than that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be mugs, not stickers, nothing of those sorts. I'm sure the points are there for a reason, and since they dedicate an entire competition basically to gain FastPoint points, hopefully it will pay off big time at the end of the year. But speaking of the players, as you said, Kunal got 2nd in ITC and lost to another Indian player. But in AOTC, he actually got 4th, only losing to Semco, Birdie, and Gaming Boy, which is 3 pretty big names in the Asian scene and the Turkish scene.
Oh, yeah, Birdie's huge. I see him pop up on my YouTube all the time. For those who watch his streams, he's got wonderful streams, folks. Birdie is a really, really lovely player. He's got a good vibe. And so hearing him in that competition is really interesting, and hearing that Kunal came 4th. Kunal's a very strong competitor in basically any tournament he competes in. So he's definitely going to be on my watch list for, top 16. Who knows? He may take everything out. But he's definitely on my watch list for making that 16 seeding. Chriso as well. Chriso is a really good streamer. He plays a lot of Royale, and that's actually where I got to meet Chriso. May have lost to him a couple of times because I'm not that great at Royale, but a beautiful Royale player. So he's mastered all the styles, mastered all the different surfaces and everything. So he's going to be a really good technical player to watch, especially on some of the tighter drifts on the track, some tighter lines, and he's going to have that consistency which comes from being a Royale pro. Because completing a map's good. Completing a map 10 times in a single round is it's something special.
Yeah, it is really something special. And if we take a look at 4, I can see the Asian leaderboard for the FastPoint tracks. Over on the leaderboard, we have Kuda Jinkruk at the top, Kunal followed by Ainol. So these 3 players would be the ones that are currently competing in the FastPoint APAC Monthly. So these are the players that I would definitely look out for in terms of fast pace in the time attack, and also potentially manage to take it all home, since Kuda is a pretty strong player as we've seen. He has a small reputation of underperforming in rounds, but hopefully he has practiced enough and the nervousness does not get to him anymore.
With that, I do believe we will be getting started with the qualifiers in just a moment. We shall await the details to go and watch these amazing players qualify. Just clarifying as well, cheer for your folks. If you have someone who you were excited to see, make sure you cheer for them. Give them all your support as we do head into the qualifiers. We want to see the best 16 qualify, and if that's going to be your favorite player, make sure you cheer them on.
Cheer them on, spam, they are not really full spam, but yes, cheer them on in the chat. Make sure you take a look at their times. Hopefully, pray for them to not slam into the wall and lose all their time. We've got to pray hard for them to win. But yes, in the end of the day, this is just a fun competition for anyone to join in and, you know, have a bit of fun, try and win some perks. But most importantly, it's for the experience, you know, the competitive experience. All the players here are looking to take it home, win it all, and also learn a few things on the way. Plus, some of the players are really interesting to watch, because a lot of them are new names. I have not seen quite a few of these players compete in any previous iterations of any competitions, so it'll be very interesting to see how the underdogs will do against the people who actually actively compete in other events as well.
We do have the start of qualifiers. The players are just getting onto that 20-second warm-up. Would help if I was able to see it, but I do have it pulled up on a separate monitor, so I have a little bit of delay, but at least I know what's going on. We've got Rasir going into the finish, getting himself a comfortable time with the last few seconds of warm-up. And once we have that, we should be getting started with the 7 minutes of qualification with the map.
Also, just a bit of details for this track. It's made by SRK, it's called Caste. So this will be our first track in the FastPoint APAC Monthly. So currently all the players are just trying to go do their rounds in. But if we take a look at some of the leaderboards, as I've said, if we scroll down, we managed to find a few players, which is Winky Face, quite a good time, 45.9, if we can manage to see him pull off that time in rounds or in time attack. That would be pretty cool.
Indeed. I am curious. Everyone's going to be putting out their first times right there, as we do have that getting started as well. We've got Winky Face that we're viewing right now. Winky Face getting quite a wide line on the grass. Able to get that over jump though, which actually is handy so he doesn't have to try and skid in. Getting a smooth finish and able to submit himself a 46.077. Putting him into first place early on, with Kunal actually able to submit a time. Quite a strong start from these two. We'll just see how we go further down with some other players here.
So currently we have a few good times. Let's take a look at them. Currently on the leaderboard, we have on 7th we have Amentrius with a 46.8 respectable, Callus Crowbar on 6th, 5th Ainol Kuda on 4th, Chriso, Winky Face, and Kunal actually all the way in the front with a 46 flat, 46.0.
46.0 is quite a solid start, especially getting warmed up on the map and everything. But from what I'm aware, 45 to what we're going to be looking for, you know, getting some high 45s is what's going to be, you know, separating the competition between those who can get those fast times and that consistency, and those who aren't able to keep up as much. So 46 is a great start, but we have yet to see if the players can pull out these 45s. With Winky Face actually taking second place to Kunal, Chriso there in that third position with a 46.2. Fourth, we have Ainol, who you said was one to watch with a 46.3. And Kuja Kringcrack in fifth with a 46.5. Quite solid starts from everyone.
Yep, so like I said, Ino is definitely one to look out for. So far, no one breaking the 46 border. Winky and Kunal actually having pretty good times, a .04 and a .08 for a 46, but we would definitely like to see a few 45s being pulled out. Currently, we have Zero on the screen with pretty sizable lead to his previous PB, and we can see Starlight actually popping out in 7th with a 46.6. So a lot of 46 being popped out on the leaderboard, but unfortunately we are not able to see any 45s yet. And that is the first 45 with 45.98 by Kunal, one of the players from India. Sorry.
Yeah, 45.98 is quite a solid time from Kunal, cementing his place first on the leaderboard. We've yet to see some of the other players keep up, but we do still have Kelva there as well, getting himself that nice time. We've got Kian in that 6th position with that 46.5 and Careless Cobra just behind him with 46.59. Still very close between these competitors, but we have yet to see some good times.
Yeah, all of the competitors trying to get in a good time, so it is really, really pressuring, especially with the 7-minute timer slowly ticking down, like impeding that. But the top 16 will be very interesting to watch, because now we can only take a look at the top 7. There's still another 9 players which we can't see the times to, but Kunal definitely having a really strong time. He should be staying in the top 3 until the end of the time attack, unless he improves it, which will be very interesting to watch, because so far he is 0.1 ahead of basically everyone else.
Yeah, that little 0.1 is going to make all the difference early on, you know, keeping that solid time, even if everyone starts to get 45. Cementing yourself in the 45s early is going to hold that top 16 really well. As we are following Chriso here, getting really clean line on the grass, making sure he's going wide, and he bonks the wall! Losing that chance to get a PB as we move on to Smithy here. Smithy going a little bit wide on the depth, but keeping a pretty clean line. Getting a nice drift, getting through the chicane really clean as he does jump onto the dirt. He's going to hit the CP!
Oh no!
And that's going to be that time lost with 2 minutes 15 on the clock left to play.
So this is the first track currently being played. We have another 2 more with the same format. Time attack for 7 minutes and 1 minute warm-up. So having a good time here, having a solid leaderboard placement will help you on in the future. Because even if this isn't your best track, as long as you get a top 16 time, you will get enough points to qualify for the main bracket.
Yeah, that top 16 is going to be the top 16 is going to be important, and seeing how we're going to be doing with that across the 3 maps. It's not just if you get the top 16 on 1 map; it's the top 16 across the 3 maps. So that's definitely going to be something to watch, as we do have the timer ticking down into the 130s now. We've got Smithy here, who's now getting a clean line. Let's see if he can recover and not bonk the CP. Getting that clean drift, and he bonks on the apex of the corner, and that's going to be him knocked out of that run.
Very unfortunate scene, Smithy trying to pull out really tight lines. Alright, so if we take a look at the times in the server, this is pretty interesting because Amentrius is trying to stay on to number 7, trying his best to keep up with the rest. And Winkyface actually pulling a 45.8, which is a really respectable time, 0.2 away from his current PB.
Indeed. Well, that's a really close time to your PB, although we are looking for those PBs. Getting close to your qualifier is good, but actually hitting that qualifier is going to be good. As we are following Kuja King Crack there, who unfortunately takes the wrong line, hits the dirt, and we are now in there watching as we do have Kuja King Crack parked up, knowing there's no time left.
Yep, Kuda, realizing there's no time, can't really do much, so props to you, Kuda. Third, not bad. It's pretty respectable. Hopefully, he does better in the other track, so he has a better seeding. Because seeding is really important going into the brackets. Having a higher seed, meaning you have more potential to make it to the grand finals.
Indeed, and moving out of the first round, we do have Winky actually getting that 45.8. Quite a solid time from him. We do have Kunal with that 45.9, and Kuja King Crack in that third with a 46.017. Quite solid starts for these players as we do head into map 2. which will be, we shall see in a moment. I don't remember the order, unfortunately.
The next track would be Wisteria from Kyle. This track is a bit interesting to watch since there are a lot of tight angles which you have to go through. There's also one outside dirt, a few outside dirts actually, and this should be really interesting to watch.
Indeed, and as we... this map seems to be more focused, not necessarily on tight lines or anything, it's more about that survival, keeping the consistent lines, not crashing into walls, not losing that speed, because any of those could spell the end of your run and lose those good times. This map was... A lot of clips are actually possible on this map. We do have a lot of tight spots where you could try to take that tight line to optimize and pull what Kian did, unfortunately, and bonk into that sidewall, and that's a tight clip as we are following Chriso here. Chriso is getting quite clean lines, keeping a good line through the checkpoint, and unfortunately he does go wide, and that's what we were talking about. That's him, unfortunately, out of that run as we do follow Rasia here.
Well, this is the warm-up, so currently none of the times really matter. Rasia definitely having a clean run. Unfortunately, that will not account to anything yet.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, unfortunately. So on this map, we are going to be looking for some good mid-42 times, also being a 42.8. We're going to be looking for those times sitting comfortably in the 42s as we do follow Rasia right now. Rasia getting quite a clean start and able to get that drop into the CP, which is going to be good because he's able to hit this drip, get around the grass cleanly. Will he clip on this inside? No, he gets a clean line through that. Goes a little bit wide on the dirt, but able to keep his angle as he jumps across the transition, and he bonks the edge. That's going to spell the end of that run for Rasia, unfortunately.
Pretty unfortunate thing. So far, none of the players have completed yet, since it seems like no one got a good time early on.
I think it's less so getting the good time, and it's more about that survival. So a lot of these players are struggling to survive on this map, with that difficulty there obviously being quite a strong map. We do have Chriso actually putting out a 44.7 and Careless Cobra putting out that 47 there. Amentrus actually getting a 43.03, and then Kunal bringing in that 42.78. Quite a good start from these players, as we do have more placements to get with 5 minutes 40 on the clock.
Yep, so far all the players doing quite good. There's 4 players with really good times, and another one just popped up, which Kelva having a 45.0. A 42.7 is a pretty strong run from Kunal, and hopefully that time would stay. And Sankit getting a 1 minute, so it's just another run, you know. All the players trying to get a clean run in, because this track is really hard to drive safely, and even more difficult to not slam into the wall, as I've tried. You know, it's pretty.
Yeah, this track having that difficulty there means that we're going to be seeing a lot of these players crash, and it's going to be a bit of a struggle to, you know, keep those times on the map, and even putting out a 1 minute 05 is still good. So that is a good start for them. It doesn't matter if like you put out a 1 minute and 7, as long as you can qualify in that top 16. A 107 is still viable, and it still puts you in that top 16 seeding.
Oh yeah, if it gets you in the top 16, it gets you in the top 16. You can't really complain.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because 7 minutes to drive a clean run on this track is it's laughably difficult, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those hard ones. I do have Sankit, who I am spectating, lagging. We'll move over to Kelva, who's getting quite a clean run. We've seen Kelva put out some clean runs on some other maps, and he bonks the wall as we move to spectate him. That's really unfortunate for Kelva. He's going to have to restart, and his time on the boards is 11th place right now. It's not going to be strong for his seeding, but at least he's still top 16 right now. We still have a lot of players who have yet to qualify on this map. We've got Danger Ray, who hasn't put out a time yet. Danger Ray seems to be the only one who hasn't put out a time yet. There we go. Danger Ray hasn't put out a time yet, but if Danger Ray can get a good time, Danger Ray could even get their top 16 seeding that they're looking for.
Yeah. So far no new times have popped out in the top 7, but seems like the gap is slowly closing down, with the time gap for second to fourth actually being a 0.2, which is pretty tight. Having a high seeding here would make it a lot easier, but I can see a lot of players actually struggling trying to do a few of these turns as it is brutal.
It is very brutal. Like, as we mentioned, it is a survival map. I'd just like to note, Winky Face put out a 42.59. Quite comfortably putting himself into first place. He PB'd by 0.4. He's pretty happy with himself. That's going to put him into first place, and that's strong seeding considering last time he got first place as well. That might be enough to just put him into the first seed as long as he can get that first on the next map. Kunal still getting second place is still quite a strong seed. We've got Amentrus there who's got that 43, but not quite hitting those 42. Who knows? Amentrus may be one to watch as they're just starting up a new run.
Amentrus definitely seems like he has the potential to manage to pull out some good times, but in rounds, I think things will change for a lot of these players as currently hunting is the main thing in their brain. Okay, go fast, go fast, go fast, don't care about walls, go fast. And suddenly when round starts, you'll be like, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall, please don't crash. Yeah. It's very different mindsets.
It's going like, when you're doing these qualifiers, knowing that you've only got half the time for a normal Cup of the Day map, a lot of these players have learned this map previously, which is good. But for Cup of the Day, we've got 15 minutes to learn a blind map. These players going in half the time on a map they may know is going to be a lot harder for them to try and push those harder times, knowing that during practice, they're able to hit them. But now they're in a setting where they know these maps. They know they can get times with them. All they got to do is keep their composure, get those top 16 times, get those seeds as we head into the finals. But we do have Anor there getting third place out of 42.8. Another 42 on the board, putting him comfortably in the seeding as well. Amentrus is going to have to pull out something swift to get that third place.
I think Amentrus is pretty happy with his fourth place position currently in this qualifying since, you know, fourth is not bad for a survival-based map.
Oh, I'm definitely not complaining about fourth at all. Fourth is still a lot better than I could do. So we're going to respect the fact that fourth is still a 43, quite comfortably in gold. Only 0.1 and a bit away from that author time. And that's where it's going to be the crucial moments. Making sure that you can push those last little bits. Maybe get that shiny green medal. And for those who have the champions plug-in, get that shiny red medal if you really want to push this map to its limits. But we do have less than a minute left on the clock. All the players knowing that the time crunch is coming in for the end of this. Let's see how Smithy's doing here with a clean drift. He just missed the apex, but had to go wide on the dirt, which means he is going to bonk the wall. As off the start, he also does bonk the railing.
Seems like
this map should just be renamed to Bonk City, I reckon.
This definitely Bonk City. Basically, everyone is now, you know, realizing, oh wait, there's only 30 seconds left, so no more runs could be done. Everyone's just taking a break. Other than Veggie, who is currently still on a run with not the best time, a +3 from his previous PB, but yeah, shit, a lot of molding in the chat.
A lot of very unhappy people knowing that this map is definitely one of the more difficult ones, and it is going to be in the pool today, so they know they have to make sure they can get those clean runs, because this map's going to be one of those ones where a clean run is more important than a fast run. Getting those clean runs, not getting those crashes, that's what's going to secure your top 2 spots. No one cares if you put out a 42.5. As long as you can put out a clean time, you're pretty much guaranteed the top 2 as we move into that third round.
So the third map, this one is an interesting one. It is a lot of dirt. It is called Euphoria and it's by Pringles.
Oh, that sounds like a nice name.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty cool map. A good time on this would definitely be a low 55. Oh, sorry, a low 54 if possible, or a high 54. That would be a really good time to have on this track.
Yeah. Looking at it, it does seem like one of those difficult tracks where a high 55, getting that author is really comfortable, but getting those low 54s is going to be the difference as we hear one of the players' horns being the sound of someone sleeping. Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know which player that is, but they deserve an award for that medal. Oh, that's unfortunate. The horn, I can hear all the custom horns, and someone has just a crisp primo horn. Oh, it's so unfortunate.
Horns are definitely something. It might give an advantage to certain players. Like, let's say you go into a rounds lobby, you press the horn, your opponent laughs, they bonk, it's all in good fun though. Hopefully we don't actually see anyone fly into the wall because of a very funny honk this entire game, but it seems like all the players are just getting really warmed up on this track, because this track is rather long. At a good pace, you would get a low 55, or even a mid 55, I think is pretty good in the 7-minute span which you have.
Yeah, that's definitely not something to scoff at. Like 55 minutes is, 55 seconds, I knew it. 55 minutes, that's a endurance map. 55 seconds is what we were seeing in the ITL. A lot of the maps are sitting at about 48 seconds to 55, even going to a minute on some of them. So it was not only trying to get the fast times, but keeping that consistency throughout all the checkpoints, all the different styles. This map being about 55 seconds is the kind of thing that a lot of the ITL players would be used to. So I think Kunal will have a home field advantage on this map, knowing that he's used to these long maps, knowing that he's used to these, long stints of having to play perfectly.
Yep, and there we go. Kunal already finishing the track. First on the leaderboard so far, 55 seconds. Very respectable time. Like I said, a low 55 would definitely get you far on this track, especially in a 7-minute span. But as we wait for other players to try and track in some times, everyone in the chat, so far you have seen all the players, you have seen how they play. Who are you guys going to root for? That's the question I want to know. Which player are you going to root for?
I gotta support my boy from the ITL. I'm gonna stick strong with Kunal. He's been putting out solid times across the board. Last time he got second, the first round he got second. Currently he's second. Kujikin Crack actually putting out a low 55.15. So Kunal definitely is one of the people I'm going to be looking out for. Chriso as well, sticking in the top 5, keeping good times across the board. So he's another one I'm going to be watching out for heading into rounds.
I mean, Idol definitely has been doing really well for the past track so far, managing to get, I think, top 5 in every single track in terms of pace so far. So yeah, he's from my home country. I'm definitely going to root for him. But other players have been doing quite well. Winky definitely very familiar to this type of track. The track is his home turf. But Kuda having the 55.1 really just stabling himself and guaranteeing his spot in the top 16 and even a high seed.
Seeds are going to be important, especially heading into rounds, knowing that the seeding is going to make a difference, because a high seed means you may have some easier competitors because you can compete well, but those high seeds can still mean defeat. We've seen competitions where the high seeds have been knocked out, so I am curious to see how these players actually do going into rounds, knowing that they're going to be driving the same tracks, getting comfortable with the maps, and having a bit more time to experience the maps and find those lines. We do have Winky pulling out that 55.192. Very, very close to Kuda. We've got Anal there as well with the 55.2. Still a very solid time.
Yeah, Anal is very solid time, but I'm more worried about how the players will do in rounds. And one thing to point out of nowhere, because Amentrius, has been getting really good results on the leaderboard so far. I have not seen his name a lot, but Amentrius seems to be one of the players who are the underdogs coming to this tournament, but definitely have a chance of, taking a bit of prize pool home, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, Amentrius is one of those dark horses in the competition. You don't see him in a lot of tournaments, but when he shows up, he's there to perform, he's there to get good times, and that's going to be really powerful for him heading into those seedings, because he's going to be going in strong, knowing that he can compete, get those top times, and hopefully work his way to the grand final. We have yet to see that. Obviously, rounds will be coming up in 3 minutes 30, with a bit of time to allow for, a bit of administration stuff. But quite solid times from all the players here, sitting around those. Winky just got a 54.7.
He's, oh god, 54.7? Okay, Winky. I see how it is. 54.7, he just PB'd. He just PB'd in time attack. He PB'd by 0.2. This man.
Just PB time attack. That's all good, Winky.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the other players going, oh, Winky's just here like, oh yeah, I'm going to get PBs and casually beat AT by 0.3. Quite a comfortable margin over AT. Just 54.7. How did it scuff at?
Yeah, just 54.7, nothing much. Yeah, just time attack 54.7, no problem.
That's definitely Winky gotta be up there as well. I believe that may put Winky towards the top seed, if not number 1 seed. he's had good times across the board. He's been keeping up consistently. And we do have a lot of strong competition here. Kelva getting 55.8, putting him in 7th. One of those players that, we said would be doing really well, and he's performing up to scratch. He is top 8 currently on this map, and I believe that's going to be putting him in a high seed heading out of this with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yep, and Chriso as well, one of the players that you have mentioned, who is doing pretty well for this track, a 55.4, a very comfy 6th. We have 2 minutes left, and I would just like to remind everyone what these players are actually competing for. It is FastPoint FP points, and these FP points will be gathered throughout all the FastPoint events, including the future AOTCs. And with these points at the end of the year, you may get a few nice perks here and there, which we don't know yet. We're still a bit in the dark about the points, but I heard that it will be pretty interesting. It will be pretty cool.
I've heard, mystery is what makes everything great. And that mystery of knowing that there's perks at the end of the year. These players are competing not only for the prize pool tonight, but they're competing for these points that could get them a prize at the end of the year. So they know that they can compete harder every week, get those top times, get those, not only the money if they win, but getting those strong points that's going to give them the perks at the end of the year. That's a good incentive for the players to keep going, as we are seeing a lot of great times coming out from these players with 1 minute left on the clock.
Kunal actually getting a 54.9, managing to break the 55-second barrier, and Amentrius actually getting a really low 55.069.
That is a nice time.
That is a really nice time.
Yeah, that's 6 milliseconds over Author, and that is nothing to scoff at. That's still Author time, and that's still a very solid time that's going to hold him in that 3rd place. We only have 30 seconds left on the clock. We see all the players doing those last few runs. We've got Danger Ray there, knowing that Danger Ray doesn't have much time left. Will Danger Ray be able to keep up? Heading down into the dirt, making sure to try and keep a bit of a wide line, getting a clean drift around this corner, getting just through the chicanes, should I say. Very close. Hugging, and bonks the poles. Danger Ray loses the chance to PB. That's unfortunate. No PB on that map.
Winky now has a 54.5.
Winky, what are you doing? Winky!
That's top 20 global in the leaderboard.
Winky!
What? He PB'd on all 3 tracks.
Winky's just proving that he's a king. That's all that's going on. Winky's going in, I'm here to play. I'm here to get some good times. And that is the end of qualifications. All 3 of them have been played. A lot of interesting results going on there. We saw some popular names up there. We've got Winky up top. We've got Einol. We've got Kunal. We've got Winky Face, as we mentioned. Chriso. A lot of really strong names going on up there. And that's going to be really good for them as we go into the seeding, which we will know in a few moments.
The seeding will be very interesting to see, and that would be the difference in, the matches that we will see. And if you guys are not sure about how the point system works in-game, in cup mode, it is first place, they will get 10 points, second place, they will get 7 points, third place, they will get 5 points, and fourth place, they will get 3 points. And in every match, there will be 4 players competing for the top prize, and maybe having the chance to move on into the next round, which will grant them just a teeny bit closer to the final grand finals match.
Indeed. And with that as well, it is going to be we're seeding the top 2 winners of each map will be moving on. So with these quarterfinals, we're going to be having 4 rounds of 4 players, and the top 2 will be moving on to the semis. In the semis, we'll have 2 matches of 4, where the top 2 will be going on to the grand finals. In the grand finals, mentioning we are going up to 140 points with the same counts, but it's going to be basically, if you win, you win. You get your 10 USD, you get 10 points, putting yourself comfortable with the fast point points, the FPPs as we like to call them. Quite comfortable there, as the players are just getting a little bit of extra warm-up on this map. We won't talk about that one.
And alright, so we will currently go on a break, just a tiny break, but we'll be back once the brackets are fully finalized and the seeding are all totaled up. Alright, we'll see you in a bit.
Indeed, so stick around, folks, as we get into the rounds of the APAC Monthly. We're back, folks, with the FastPoint APAC August. With the qualifiers now completed, we've got all our seating set up, and honestly, it is looking pretty strong. Winky Face obviously taking that first seed. We've got Kunal in second, Ionol in third. Amentress actually managing to snipe that fourth position. We've got Chriso in fifth, Kuda in sixth, Careless Cobra in seventh, Smithy in eighth, Starlight in ninth, Kian getting that 10th position, Kelva in 11th, Bedgley in 12th, PRL in 13th, Nero in 14th, Razia taking 15th, and closing out the seeding, Sankit managing to get himself 16th place. Overall, quite a strong seeding if I don't say so myself.
It is indeed a pretty strong seeding, and with Winky Face PBing on all three tracks, like come on man, just give him the first seed. Which is exactly what happened. He's first seed, and it seems like he's going up against Smithy, Starlight, and Sankit. That is the bracket for one of the first matches that will be happening. And on match 2, we will have Amentress, Chriso, Bedgley, and PRL. Match 3, we will have Kunal going up against Careless Cobra, Kayan, and Rasir. And on the final match, match 4, there will be Ionol, Kuda, Jinkrok, Kelva, and Nero.
Quite a strong set of matches, if I do mention. We've got people like Chriso going against Bedgley and Amentress. Amentress being that 4th seed, so you got 4th and 5th. Very close seeding having to compete against each other there. We've got PRL and Bedgley in that match as well. It's going to be quite an interesting fight. We've got two of the great Aussies we know and love. And we're going to have PRL there as well, who is going to be trying to fight for that spot in the quarterfinals. Straight below that, we've got Kunal going against Careless Cobra, Kian, and Resia. Resia, one of those players that you mentioned to watch out for, and Kunal, the one that, you know, my horse in the race, essentially. I'm so hoping that Kunal gets himself to the grand finals. He is a strong player. He's put out good results. We've seen him do AO2C, place in those top 4. So I'm hoping he'll be able to pull through and actually get that top 4 placing. How do you feel about the bottom match, though?
Ooh, the bottom match. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting watch to watch. Ionol, Kuda, and Kelva. Nero as well. These 4 players will be definitely trying to fight for the 2 positions to move on into the semi-finals. But honestly, I think Ionol and Kuda should take this home pretty convincingly. If not, Kelva would definitely contest. Kelva is one of those players who you can't look you can't close one eye and just like, okay, let's just not take a look at him that deeply. But he is a really strong player. He can and will capitalize on mistakes.
Kelva's one of those players that has the benefit of consistency, in my opinion. So I believe that Kelva will do a lot better in rounds than the qualifications. Obviously, qualifications, you're just trying to race, get as many times on the board. But as soon as you're in rounds, these are maps that you know. These are maps that you've driven before. So it's going to come down to that consistency. And I believe Kelva will be able to pull through on that one there. Looking at the first match, we do have Winky Face and Smithy. Smithy, I believe, being another one of the Australian players. So another 2 Australians representing us, you know, making my country proud. I do believe Winky will have a bit of a better time, I'm hoping, heading into the quarterfinals. He's top seed. He's shown that he's PB'd on every single map. He's comfortable with these maps now, so I think that's going to give him the benefit to be able to push his way through to those semi-finals prior to the big match that we're waiting for.
I would say definitely in terms of the more difficult maps, especially Wisteria, where it's a survival-based track, there will be a lot of people slamming into the wall, and it's not really whether who can go faster, it's more on how many rounds can you stay alive and what's the time of every single round. It's like as consistent as you can be. Now it's no longer about pace, it's about staying ahead of your opponent, getting first, second, the big points, and move on into finalists and potentially just move into the semi-finals. Just as simple as that. Just keep consistent, play it out, and hopefully you'll make it through.
Interesting that you mentioned Wisteria. That was definitely the map that was, really difficult because of all the tight apexes, a lot of tough drifts to get. And that's the map that is going to come down to getting, just a clean run. It's going to be, you could get a 103. It could be like a really bad time. You're looking at basically bronze, maybe silver if you're lucky. But if you can have the consistency on that map and you can outpace your opponents, you're going to be holding steady heading into the semi-finals as you're able to get all those all those runs out essentially, and making sure you can get as many points as possible to make sure you can secure not only that finalist spot, but get that win, get yourself into the semifinals, get ready to compete on the same map. And if you have that consistency, that map's just going to be a game of consistency across the board. It's going to come down to the semis. Out of the people who won, who can be the most consistent there? In the grand finals, who can be the most consistent and be the fastest?
Yeah, especially in the grand finals, pace is really important because get first will give you that juicy 10 points and get you basically 10 points closer to finalists, which is around 10% of the total points, which is a lot of points. And if you can consistently just keep on getting first, second, even if you just consistently get second and just stay there, you will gain a lot of points and it will ramp out and snowball really quickly, even if you don't have the fastest pace.
It's definitely how that map's going to play. Everyone was really comfortable on the final map as well. You saw a lot of really close times. A couple of people, Winky, getting some really ridiculous times on that map, but you had everyone within basically a second of each other, and that's the competition we want to be seeing. We want to see players basically parked inside of each other, racing through, trying to get that extra little bit of distance, taking that apex a little bit better, getting that jump a little bit lower and able to get to the finish. And that's going to be where it's going to be coming down to, especially on that map. Considering everyone was really comfortable with it, it's going to come down to basically who can optimize the most on that map to get the best output possible.
I would say on that track is really difficult in order to play it really quick, because there are a lot of jumps that you have to do and you have to keep a lot of speed. If you accidentally hit the side of the track, or if you have a bad exit on the jump itself, the run is gone. You're getting lost.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that it does come back to in rounds where a bonk may not knock you out of the round straight away, but a couple of bonks and you're definitely gone. There's no way to recover when you've bonked 3 or 4 times back to back. Or if you bonk hard enough that you flat park on the wall, you better hope that you have a good recovery out of that one. Maybe you need to release the accelerator and try to get a neo drift. Maybe you just need to try and get a better line out of it. And that's where it's going to come down to those mini optimizations, being able to reset faster to try and keep your strong positions there.
And from my personal experience on playing that track, dead checkpoints are really scary on that track, because there are a few turns where if you don't enter the checkpoint in the correct angle, it's straight into the wall.
Ooh, that's not a good thing at all. It's definitely brutal when you're doing really well on a map. You hit a checkpoint, you take the wrong line, and suddenly you're eating penalty grass. We don't like eating penalty grass.
No, we don't.
Looking at the seeding as well, we've got a lot of really well-known names, as we know. We've got a lot of Australians, which is really good for me in my home country. But we've got a lot of ITL players as well. We've got Sankit and Kunal. Instinct also competed, but Kunal and Sankit actually made it to that top 16. Kunal, as we expected, doing really well in not only AOTC, but doing well on the ITL most recently. And Sankit, who was number 6 seed in the ITL, able to hold pretty steady in his competition. Unfortunately, he was knocked out in his loser final, but top 16 is nothing to scoff at with the leaderboards that we had, essentially.
And if you take a look at the top 8, it is that's a lot of Aussies in the top 8. It's just 5 of them just chilling.
It's as if Australia produced a really good Trackmania play or something. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not biased. What are you talking about?
Then there's the Taipan players. There's the 2 players from Taipan, both Kunal and Ainul, only losing to Winky Face, which is a really tough opponent. They will be going up against each other if they both make it into the semi-finals. So that'll be very interesting to see both Taipan players potentially moving into the finals together.
Indeed. And we are going to be getting started with all the finals. Everyone's being seated correctly. We are going to be spectating the match between Ainul, Kuda, Kelva, and Nero. This was the match I was really excited to watch. A lot of the others, they're going to be good matches. Do not get me wrong. But this is where you got the close competition. You've got Ainul and Kuda, both really strong players. You've got Kelva, who's proven his worth on the leaderboards. And you've got Nero, a very, very strong player in his own right. I am interested to see how this match goes, knowing that this is going to be very close competition.
This will be really close, and Ainul and Kuda definitely have the better of everyone else in terms of pace. Ainul being a bit ahead in terms of pace compared to Kuda. And from what I've seen, Aino is also really consistent. He's a rather consistent driver, so we'll see just how it goes.
We are getting started with the first round here on cast. Let's see how the players go. As we go straight at the start, we've got Nero taking a slowdown? Question mark. Kuda not driving. Okay. Not a good start for these players, but we do have Kelva and Einhol quite close to each other. Einhol getting the better line out of here, keeping a close chicane there, and Kelva falls off the pipe. This is warm-up. This is what you need to be warming up on. This is where we're needing to be seeing some good runs. The players have played this map, but they need to get comfortable with this.
Yep, and I would like to say, so far, you know, Kuda, he has been quite good in previous iterations of other tournaments, but definitely coming short on a lot of them as well. So hopefully this might be finally his time to break out of his shell and, you know, get a top 4.
Who is your take going into this? Who do you think is going to be getting that that semi-final spot heading out of this?
I would say Einol and Kuda definitely will be the ones making it through, but from the other matches, I think going by seeding, the seeding definitely seems like it's doing its thing. I think on match 1, Smithy and Starlight, that might be an interesting one to see a second place. And we get into the round straight away. We have Kuda and Einol both leading ahead, having a really close 1 and 2 position, and Nero and Kelva already falling behind really early on. Not the best start for both of them. Kuda actually hitting the checkpoint, and that's Einol breezing in front, all the way in front, and Nero holding second position. He might be able to just nab 7 points, but Kelva managing to come really close. Now it's a fight for second and third. Einol all the way in front. Kelva and Nero still both really close together into the grass turn. Both of them drift down. Still really tight gap. Einol going really far ahead. Definitely first place settled by Einol, and it's Kelva in third and Nero in second. Kuda, unfortunate hit on the checkpoint, having to restart, and that's just not what you want to see starting off.
Fortunate start from Kuda with who we said was going to be a strong entrant. Unfortunately taking that early bonk, knocking him down to 3 points in that first round. But we do get started with round 2 as we have everyone on the start keeping a very close line. Kuda actually going a bit wide early to try and keep as much speed as possible. Taking that inside line, he is a bit ahead of the pack. He's about 0.03 ahead as he does get that clean drift going around. It's going to be Einol actually getting a much cleaner line out of that, but Kuda's going to be getting more speed on the dirt, not actually losing the gear. Einol trying to keep steady, trying to hold on to that first position as we do head into this uphill drift. It's going to be Kuda going that little bit wider, able to keep a cleaner line out of there, getting a clean jump onto the dirt with Einol right behind there. Einol's going to be trying to fight for that first position with Einol blocking the wall. It knocks him out of the round, and Kuda can just cruise to the finish and get himself a comfortable 10 points. Still 0.5 ahead of Kelva in that second position. And Einol sniped the second position. There we go. Einol able to recover on the checkpoint. As I mentioned before, checkpoints are important. Get your fast resets. And that's going to be 5 points for Kelva, and Einol getting those 7 points instead.
I would say going into the turn just now, Einol had a lot more speed compared to Kuda. Unfortunately, just hitting the side of the wall, not managing to get the cleanest run, but still managing to snipe in the last second, getting second. So currently, he still has the most point in 17. Kuda in second with 13 points, but all 3 players were really close. Unfortunately, Einol does hit the wall, and that is Nero and Kelva fighting for first place. The 2 underdogs into this round, and Kelva definitely having a sizable lead. A 0.1 difference from the 2 players. Kuda and Einol both really far behind. It seems like this is Kelva's round, and he will be taking away the 10 points. Nero 0.2 behind him, might be able to snipe in the end if Kelva does make any small mistakes. And now it's just Kuda and Einol. Kuda in third, Einol in fourth. Not the best round for the 2 higher seeding players, but overall really good for Kelva, getting that 10 points, making him move up the leaderboard.
Moving up the leaderboard is definitely important, especially if you know that you haven't gotten a couple of good rounds at the start. But it is going to put him tied first place with Einol. So heading into round 4, he's going to have that strong position, knowing that if he gets top 2 placing, that's still top 2 seeding heading out of it. As we do have the start with everyone ahead. Nero actually getting the early lead on that one. Bonking a little bit on the dirt. He's got to lose a little bit of traction, get the inside drift, and keep a lot more speed than the other competitors. but it's going to be Einol actually catching up to him and keeping a lot more speed. Nero getting a cleaner drift on that, and there's Kuda. Kuda's now catching up and it's now a 3-person fight in that spot. We've got Einol. This is a 0.1 separating these guys, basically. We've got Einol right in the back now. I believe he took a corner badly, as we do have this grass section where you need to make sure you're keeping your wheels on the ground. Einol able to keep his wheels on the ground, fight for that fourth with not enough speed there. Getting that clean jump through, and it's going to be Kuda in that first position. It's a close fight for second place, and someone bonks! Oh! Kelva, who bonks the jump, unfortunately loses all his speed, straight onto the side of his wheels. It's going to be Kuda in first, Einol second, and it's going to be Nero able to get that third position.
Einol went from 4th to 2nd in that last turn itself, just sniping everyone. But Kuda having a really respectable time, you know, a really great pace from him. Unfortunately, just not having the consistency to really pull ahead in terms of points. So if you look at the leaderboard, Einol and Kuda having 1 point separating them, Kelva and Nero also 1 point separating both of them, and the pack is still really tightly close together. Still a tight-knit match.
Between first and fourth place, you have 6 points, and 6 points is a second place and a DNF. So keep in mind, if Kuda DNFs this round and Nero is able to get at least second place, he could move his way into first place without accounting for the other competitors. But as we do head into Wisteria, the map, known for being a survival map, we do have all these wonderful players just warming up, getting their runs in. This map was really brutal during the warm-up. You saw that a lot of players were crashing and bonking. Do you think we'll see this again?
Honestly, I expect a lot of the players to definitely hit the wall, but it's just whether how well and how consistent they can keep up. Einol definitely having the consistency, Kuda having the pace, Kelva as well being rather consistent as I've seen from the seeding phase itself. Nero, I'm not so sure. I didn't pay really much attention to him in the seeding phase, but it would be nice to see how well they do in this track and how consistent they can drive.
One of those maps where consistency is key. So as we do head into the first round, we're going to see how the players will hold up on this map, knowing that not only is it trying to get a fast time, but keeping that consistency and not bonking.
All right, and into the first round we go. Someone actually went really wide off the start. It is Nero actually slamming the side of the wall. Kuda having a really slow start all the way on 4th. Einol all the way in front alongside Kelva and Nero. Einol so far having a really strong lead, a 0.4 lead ahead of both Kelva and Nero. Kuda not having the best of starts, unfortunately, and Kelva actually still holding strong, not hitting any wall so far. Nero as well, both playing really consistent. Einol all the way in front. This should be a very set 1, 2, 3, 4, as long as the players don't make any silly mistake going up. Both Nero and Kuda quite far behind actually, a lot of them hitting the side, and Kelva actually managing to snipe Einol at the end.
Not only a snipe at the end, he managed to get a new best time on that with a 44.698. Quite a solid time there. Quite a solid time early on from Kelva. That is a good match start for him. It's a good start from him, and that's going to be interesting as we do head into round 2. Einol still 1 point ahead of Kelva as we do have the start. Everyone going around the first bend, trying to keep as close lines as possible, keep as much speed going in, and Kuda bonks again! Kuda bonks the wall, and unfortunately that's a lot of speed, but he does manage to recover and fight his way into second place. It's going to be Kelva and Kuda going to be fighting for second and third. We do have Einol quite comfortable in the lead right here. As we do head into this transition, known for that bonk, everyone's keeping clean. Nero actually getting a lot of speed out of that one. Kelva losing his pace, moving into that 4th position. We've got Einol in that 1st position. Kuda's going to catch up, and Nero bonks! Nero bonks that wall, lands poorly, and that's going to slow him down. Same as Kuda. Kuda, unfortunately, didn't get the best landing. That's going to lose him a lot of time as Einol pulls out a 44 flat, getting in that 1st place with Kelva 0.4 behind to get second. Still quite a good pace considering the difficulty of this map.
I would say all the players are definitely trying to play as consistent as they can be, but Einol definitely being ahead of the bunch, now having a 4-point lead ahead of second place. Kelva also pulling quite well on this track. This track surprisingly does favor consistency a lot more than pace, as Kuda is definitely falling behind in terms of points. But currently in the lead, we have Kuda, who is doing quite well so far, not bonking, never mind. And he flies into the checkpoint. Aino now taking the lead. Nero in third, and I believe Kelva also in third. Nero moves up to second, and Aino all the way in front, the most consistent player of the bunch, having a really good time as well, a really good pace, the points in terms of leader. And Nero accidentally hits the checkpoint, unfortunately, loses a lot of speed, and now that is Kelva up into second. Aino just breezing through into first place. Kuda actually managing to overtake Nero, but Kelva missing the finish, and Kuda managed to snipe for second place. Kelva getting third, Nero quite far behind, not having the best of rounds for him. But that is Aino taking 10 points.
That was definitely unlucky for Kelva. He did miss the finish a couple of times, so it does mean he doesn't get as many points. But Nero, I believe, had to DNF that because he got the slow-mo, couldn't get the finish in time. So it's going to put him further behind. But we do head into this fourth round with all the players keeping relatively close to each other. Kelva actually taking a bit of an inside line, which is going to lose him a bit of the gear and a little bit of speed, but he is going to be able to keep up with the rest of the pack, not too far behind. Kuda actually getting quite a strong lead at the start, knowing what's on the line here, keeping good pace, and it's got to be a bonk! It's got to be a double bonk from Nero and Kuda. That's going to be Aino is able to fight for that first position once again. Kelva's very close behind, and Aino bonks! Kelva could get this as long as he keeps the run clean. He gets a smooth transition onto the grass, a little bit of a rough landing, but he's still able to get a lot of speed out of that. Goes off, bonks the plastic, gets himself first place. Unlucky to see a triple bonk, meaning Kelva can go from back of the pack to top of the pack with Nero DNFing right there.
Kelva not getting the best of times, definitely. Still 44.4. It's not the fastest, but he's playing it really consistent. And that's what is the difference from him and all the other players. He's not getting first all the time, but when other players mess up, the first is his. He just doesn't bonk. And even if he does, he knows how to manage his speed, he knows how to manage the pace, and make sure that he pulls ahead out of everyone else.
Indeed. And as we do move into the warm-up of the third match, we do have Aino comfortably in that first place with the 51, Kelva in second with 55, Kuda in third with 48, still close enough that he could take that position, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Nero in fourth with 30 points. Everyone's still within fighting distance. Nero's a little bit behind, but Nero knows that if he can keep up the consistency on this map, that's a lot of 10 points that can stack up, and that's still a chance to get into those top seeds with everyone warming up on this map.
I would say this map being the third track might be a bit unfavorable for Kelva, as in terms of pace, he's definitely beat by both Aino and Kuda, so even if he makes it to finalists, he still has to have the final round of pace in order to, you know, bring it home.
Yeah, it's got to come down to that final round of pace. And in the end, this map is, as I mentioned, not only consistency, but speed. There are a couple of difficult checkpoints where you may take a wrong line, but at the same time, this map is definitely more forgiving than the last one, so it's going to come down to, can you not only keep the consistency, but can you get that speed and fight for those top spots?
Into the first round we go. So far, as you said, the point gap is not super big, just Nero needing a bit more points to keep up. Currently all the way in the lead, we do have Kelva, Kuda behind, Aino in third, Aino having a lot of speed into the dirt drop, all three of them being 0.1 behind, Nero falling behind. But yes, this current top 3 position is really close together and anything can still happen. Both Kuda and Kelva fighting for first place, really close together. Into the long turn. And Kelva actually hits the side of the wall. Kuda now in the lead with a 0.3 gap from him and Aino, but Aino having a lot of speed might be able to catch up here. Kuda trying his best to stay in front, trying his best to keep as much speed as he can, going into one of the final dirt turns. Aino still have a lot of speed and managed to catch up to Kuda. It's into the final jump, and it is a snipe from Aino. Aino with the 10 points, 55.4, really close from both the players. Aino just having that bit of speed which eventually put him ahead of Kuda.
Trackmania is one of those games where speed snowballing is major. If you can keep more speed than your competitor on the final corner, snipes like this become a regular thing. But Aino, we've seen pull out great results and able to get another 10 points on the board as we do get started with the second round. Everyone keeping that inside line with Nero actually going a little bit wider off the start. It's going to mean that he's going to drop in that back position, but he may be able to keep up if every other player does fall behind a little bit. It's going to be Kuda in that front position right now, going a little bit wide on the dirt, just missing the wall, able to keep his speed, meaning he's able to keep more speed over than Einol. We've got Kelva, who may have bonked, and I believe that is Kelva out of that contention. Got Kuda quite comfortably in the lead, 0.2 ahead of Einol, but Einol knows he has to try and send it in these final corners, and he's done it before. We may have another snipe here as both of them take the sausage transition clean. Heading on to the grass drift, they both hit it rather smooth, and it's got to be Kuda who's able to keep the speed a little bit better. But Einol actually manages to go wider on the dirt, keep the gear, get a bit more speed. Will he risk it? And Kuda knows that he had to try and send that, and unfortunately, he's going to lose all that speed. Einol can just run through, get those 10 points. Kuda in second, Nero in third, and Kelva bringing up the rear of the pack, just managing to sneak in for 3 points.
Einol definitely having the pace, especially on the later half of the track, as we've seen him sniping Kuda twice already. Kuda just managing to scrape through the start, having a really fast start actually, but in the end of the day, it's whether you can keep the speed into the end part or not, because the final little jump is really important, and Einol actually flying off to the side, that would be putting Kuda all the way in first. And now it's a fight between Kelva and Nero for second place, as Kuda cruises into first place. Nero and Kelva both trying to fight for second place, having a 0.4 gap between them. It seems like this is Kuda's round. Kuda finally managing, or has a very large potential to just get the 10 points and move on with it. Kelva, we haven't seen the best times from him so far, definitely keeping the second place. Gonna nab that 7 points. Einol being very far behind, unfortunately. Kuda just having to not bonk into the finish, and that should be a 10-pointer for him. And Kelva coming in second with 7, Nero in third, and Einol, unfortunately this round not doing the best, in fourth.
I believe that a couple of bonks were his undoing, unfortunately. It was rough seeing him at the start and having to try and recover that one, but in the end, he does not make the finish. And unfortunately, that does mean that it's going to shorten the gap. But Kuda actually moves into that second position with 72 points as we head into the next round. We've got Einol there, all of them keeping really good speed, but Einol is keeping a bit of a wide angle. It actually helps him out. He's able to keep a lot more speed with that, and he does keep the gear as he does head into this dirt jump, drifting a little bit wide to try and keep as much speed as possible, and he does keep it cleanly. Kelva's currently in the lead, but with a corner like that, it means that Einol can sneak on the side, take the tight corner, and is able to get himself into that first position, and risks it all, knowing that he needs to get those 10 points. Unfortunately, he bonks, and that's going to put him into that third position behind Nero. Kuda sneaking in, getting that third position as well, keeping more speed, so Einol's going to be moving to the back of the pack, with Kelva in quite a comfortable lead, 0.6 ahead of his competitors. As we head into this downhill, it's going to be Kuda keeping a lot more speed than Nero on this one. Kuda's going wide, trying to keep as much speed, and bonks the dirt. It's a double bonk from Nero and Kuda, meaning Kuda can hold on to that second place. Kelva quite comfortably taking the win with that one. Nero and Einol very close together despite the bonks, only 0.1 separating them.
Einol not having the best of rounds so far, definitely choking a bit in the latter two of the rounds. So the point gap is really, really close now. Einol could have ended it on that track, but unfortunately, a bit of a misplay from here and there. And now it's still very unclear who's ahead of who, because damn, the point gap is really close. 5-point difference between first and third. It's still anyone's game.
I think it's safe to say at this point, Nero may have to say goodbye to us at the end of the match. Unless he can get a bunch of wins back to back, which, keep in mind, I've seen happen. It is possible. But at the same time, we have strong competitors here, and it's going to be whether Einol can hold those wins, or on this map, where we've seen Kelva pull out some good results as well, will Kelva be able to get that first seed, and will Kuda be able to recover, knowing he's 1 point behind Kelva? All he has to do is finish better than Kelva, and he's got a top seed there. This is going to be a good fight. Yeah,
this is a rather simple map, and having pace is going to be really important for all the players, because it's not that difficult to drive this track. So that's the main thing about this track, is how well you can drive. So in terms of Einol and Kuda, their pace is definitely much higher, but Kelva, once again, capitalizing on mistake really well. And Kelva, being quite low-seeded, might be able to potentially upset everyone else in this server so far. As we get into the first round for this, okay, the second time we're playing this map, but currently in first we have Kuda just a teeny bit ahead of Einol, Nero in third, and Kelva all the way in fourth. So far all the players are still really close together, still quite a tight pack, just 0.3 of a gap between first and third. Kuda going really wide, and I believe that was Nero running into the wall, and now it's just Kuda and Einol both fighting for first. Einol having just a teeny bit more speed going to the grass, but once again hits the side, and that is Kelva moving up potentially into second. Kuda going quite fast, having a lot of speed, and Einol just hitting the side again. That is Kelva getting second, Kuda with first, and Nero all the way in the back.
This is interesting knowing that Kelva is getting that 7 points there. Kelva's one to watch because he could upset the top seeds. Not only in this match, if he manages to get through to the semi-finals, he could upset some of the top seeds who are coming through from those matches. So as we head into round 2, he knows what's at stake with a tie between him and Einol, as we do have everyone going into the jump rather cleanly. We've got Nero keeping ahead of the pack, but not going as wide, meaning he's not keeping as much speed, but he does go for that inside drift, which is going to give him a temporary lead, but he does lose it with not keeping as much speed. It is so close between the top 3 right now. We've got Einol there, who is in that third position, knowing that he's got to fight for the higher position to try and keep ahead of Kelva. Going a bit wider on that corner, able to keep more speed. He is going to catch up to Kelva. Kelva may have had a bad jump. He does lose a lot of speed, but Kuda is able to just run away with first place right now. And Nero is actually fighting in that third position right now. As we head into the jump, everyone seems to be hitting it cleanly. Kuda is getting a clean line on that one and able to go into the finish, getting himself 10 points. Nero almost sniping Einol, 0.1 separating those two, which is still really close. But it is going to be only 3 points for Kelva. That's going to set him back a bit. Kuda just needs to get any points, and he's in the finalist mode.
Einol and Kuda both 1 away from finalists. The only way that Kelva can somehow manage to stay in and have a good, a good chance at winning this is if he wins now. He needs to pull a first now. He needs that 10 point in order to push himself into finalist mode as well. But unfortunately, he falls off the side, and now it's just between both Einol and Kuda, first and second. No matter, as long as Einol gets third, he should be in finalist, same as Kuda. So now it's just about denying Kelva from points, and Nero is definitely putting a bit of effort trying to deny Kelva as well, as he's in third, putting away the third and fourth position. We have Kuda now in the lead, all the way in front. Einol getting a really comfortable second, and Kelva unfortunately having to just fight a bit more for his finalist position. That is Kuda with 10 points, Einol with 7, and they both move into finalists.
It's definitely interesting to see a double finalist at the start, knowing that these two players will be doing really strong. But as we do move out of this map, we are moving to the map that was Kuda's undoing, Wisteria. The map known for how difficult it can be to... Oh no, we aren't, sorry. We have one more round. Apparently we have one more round, folks. I do apologize, but we are on this map for one last round. As we do have the start, everyone keeping kind of close. I believe that was Kuda at the start, unfortunately taking a bad line, which means his spot in finalists may not mean much if he can't catch up. Einol keeping a lot of speed, heading over the pipe. And it's going to be him getting quite a clean line with Kelva in that second position. Kelva knowing that if he can come first, second, or third, he will go into finalists as well, as we do have Einol going a little bit wide on this to try and keep as much speed as possible. Kelva trying to deny him, and he's trying to fight as hard as possible to deny him that win, but Einol is way too far in the lead. He is 1 second ahead. All Einol needs to do is finish this map cleanly, and your first finalist in the semi-finals will be Einol. Congratulations to Einol. Kelva getting himself into finalist mode. Nero getting himself third place, and Kuda unfortunately in the back.
Now Kuda definitely not having the best of first turns, as he just slammed into the wall very early on. But Einol will be moving on into the semi-finals, and now it's just whether Kelva can upset Kuda. As we move on to Wisteria.
Heading into the next map, keep in mind, this was the map that did... So heading into this map, we do have a double finalist, and this was Kuda's undoing. this may be a chance for Kelva to come through. We do have the first placings from match 2, where we have Chriso and Amentrus going through into that semi-final. It means... And we have Kunal and Keras Cobra getting through on their matches, which means we do have to say goodbye to PRL, Bedgley, Kian, and Racia. Quite strong competitors once again, but that semi-final should be interesting. We're going to be seeing Einol compete against Kunal and Keras Cobra. No, Kunal, funnily enough, being both from Taipan, so it's going to be teammate versus teammate in that semi-final. But will it be Kuda who is able to bring out a win on this map, or will it be Kelva with his consistency, able to hold steady and get himself that second spot?
I would say the pressure is on for both of these players. Both of them are in finalists. They are both in, so far from what we've seen, the most difficult track to drive. And any bonk anywhere could be their undoing right now.
It is. It's down to any bonk. And both Kuda and Kelva know what's on the line here. If they can't get a win, it's goodbye to them. And if the other one gets the win, it's GG. That's it. We move on to the semi-finals with those guys. But Kuda and Kelva know what's at stake as we head into this round. We have everyone going to be keeping clean on the start as we head around the corner. It's going to be Nero actually pulling ahead at the start, but not keeping a strong line. Kelva's in the back of the pack, but he knows he has to fight for this position. We've got Kelva unfortunately bonking on that downhill drop. He doesn't have as much speed, but he still has a chance to fight for it. Kuda holding steady in that first position. Hasn't bonked yet, and this may be the key for him as he does head into that sausage transition, keeping it smooth. Nero going a little bit wide with a rough landing. Kuda keeping steady as we drop onto the downhill, and Nero unable to upset and bonking out. Kuda bonking as well. Will it be enough speed loss, or will he be able to recover? Kelva's keeping a lot more speed on this, getting the sausage transition, able to hit the drift, and he's going into this downhill, and it's going to be Kuda who's able to keep a lot more speed, and he misses the finish. Kelva will be your second seed in the semi-finals. Kuda missing the finish. It could have been the upset for Kelva, saying goodbye to him, but Kuda misses the finish. Goodbye to Kuda and goodbye to Nero as Aino and Kelva move on to the semi-finals. That was such a close end.
Oh my god, the last jump. That last jump was the decider. And unfortunately, Kuda just not going that high, going way too low. It would have been his. He was in front. He had the pace. As long as he made the final jump, it would have been him moving into the semi-final. But unfortunately, Kelva, seed 11, will upset Kuda from seed 6, and he will be moving on into the semi-finals to play against Kunal and Keras Cobra. So Kelva, well done to you. So far, really great pace from you in terms of Wisteria, and you're just a very consistent player, man. Like, congrats to you. You deserve it.
We do also have the seedings coming out from the higher match as well. It's going to be Winky Face and Smitty, the two top seeds, moving into that semi-final. So the top semi-final is going to be Winky Face, Smithy, Chriso, and Amentrus. Funnily enough, it looks like a lot of Australian players. You know, we Australians are good players, apparently. As we do have an Australian semi-final, and we do have Kunal, Keras Cobra, Einol, and Kelva in that second match, which is going to be interesting. I'm excited to see both of these matches, knowing it's basically all Australians, and then two Taipan members going against each other. How do you think we're going to go heading out of this?
Honestly, I think the two Taipan players fighting against each other would be very interesting to watch, but at the same time, we have Winky Face, Smithy, Chriso, and Amentrius. Two of the Australians will be sent home from that match. And in the bottom match, match 6, Kunal, Keras Cobra, Aino, Kelva, this would be a pretty close match if you ask me. I've seen Keras Cobra play, and he's also rather consistent in terms of a lot of the tracks.
Yeah, well, he's an Australian, so what do you expect? But that being
Australians,
said, we do have Kunal and Aino once again both being from Taipan. Kunal being a very strong competitor, putting out good positions in AOTC as well. So I think heading out of this one, we're going to be seeing Kunal in the final. I'm pretty sure that he'll be able to hold that consistency, even though we've been seeing good times from Aino. We've been seeing him struggle on a couple of the maps and not putting out as strong times as we would hope. But I do think Kunal will get that number 1 spot there. And I'm honestly thinking Kelva will get that second position there. Kelva, once again, upsetting Kuda, who is that number 6 seed. Will he be able to upset Keras Cobra and Einol there? Einol being the number 3 seed as well. I'm interested to see that. Out of the Australians, I mean, we'll hopefully see some good players out of that. But it's all Australians. It's basically the cream of the crop. It's all the best Australians competing right now.
Yep, and for my predictions, especially in the Australian side, it will be Winkyface and Amentrius, I think. Amentrius definitely putting up a pretty solid performance so far. Unfortunately, he did lose to Chriso. But currently, we will be moving on into one of the semi-finals match, which will be really interesting to watch.
Yes, and as we do say, we will be going to watch my home turf. We're going to be watching Winkyface, Smithy, Chriso, and Amentrius go and compete for those finalist spots. This is my home turf. Great Southland. This is what we're keen for as we do start out, I believe, on Euphoria, maybe switching, but we are on Euphoria right now. So just to clarify as well, folks, every player that you saw today who made the top 16 will be receiving one FastPoint point. And for those who are not aware, FastPoint points will be obtained through the events that happen. So the AOTC, and we'll be seeing it in our FastPoint event here, the FastPoint APAC. So with those points, the points are region-based as well. So the points that you're seeing here are going to be for the Asian and OCE players. And you're going to get perks at the end of the year if you've got a lot of points. So it's going to be worth trying to compete every week. Make sure you're getting as many points as possible to try and get those perks at the end of the year. The winner of tonight, the number one spot, will get 10 points, which is a lot. But not only that, they will take out 10 USD as we do get started with round one with all our beautiful Australians here. We've got Winkyface currently in first place, able to keep himself with a clean line. Going a little bit wide and losing the gear, but he is able to keep a cleaner line on the dirt, able to fight his way back into second place. Getting a smoother transition onto the dirt. He's going to fight his way into first. We do have Chriso actually able to fight into that second position. Winkyface cleaning up right now, getting some clean runs here, getting that grass shift, holding it steady, as we do have Chriso about 0.4 behind as we head into the next checkpoint. Got to be Amentrius right behind, knowing that he can still fight for those positions as it is match one. Winkyface getting a clean drift on that and able to get onto the grass. Breaking a little bit on the grass, but he is able to keep quite a clean drift on that one. Maybe not keeping as much speed, but with the better line, he's able to get 0.1 ahead. Chriso's still trying to fight for that spot, knowing what's at stake. Winkyface is going to keep clean on the dirt, take himself 10 points, and it's going to be Chriso in second. Amentrius trying to snipe, but not quite enough. Smithy taking out that fourth position.
I would say if Winky managed to keep pulling off these auto times consistently, it would be really, really difficult for all the other players to try and keep up. And Amentrius not having the best of runs just now. Chriso managing to take in second place, really solid for him. And currently, right now, we can see all of them going really tightly into the first turn. All players still being really close of each other. Nothing much happening yet so far. But Winky going really wide, having a lot of speed. And we have Chriso moving up to third, Smithy staying in second. But the jump might be the decider here. This jump is going to be really brutal for all the players. And it seems like everyone is surviving so far. We have Winkyface pulling up ahead, 0.7 ahead of everyone else. And we have Chriso accidentally bonking the side of the wall. And Amentrius is going to be in third. Smithy will be in second, as they are both still fighting for it. Amentrius moves down into third now. Smithy trying to keep his position of second. Amentrius almost hits the checkpoint there, and Winkyface just flying past forward ahead of everyone else, and that is Winkyface going in first, Smithy in second, Amentrius in third, and Chriso in fourth.
That bonk from Chriso was really unfortunate. You got to see him keeping good pace, keeping up a good time, and then one bonk ended it, and that's him unfortunately going down. Everyone tied for second place at 10 points. But Winkyface is currently on 20. Winkyface showing his dominance once again, being that number one seed and placing well in his first match. As we do head into this next round, we've got Winkyface, who's now comfortable with these maps, able to keep a stronger line here, getting that inside line, keeping as much speed. He wheel taps the wall, and that's going to be him losing all of his speed and potentially the gear. Still in that third position, I do believe Smithy may have had a brutal crash. And it does mean that Chriso is going to be on that first position. Amentrius right there as well, trying to fight for that spot. Holding it first right now, but Chriso knows what's on the line here. So he's going to be pushing even harder to fight for that first position. Winky actually taking the inside line, able to overtake Chriso. Chriso moving to third. Able to overtake Amentrius, moving into first. Despite that wheel tap, he's fine. He's having a great time. We do have Amentrus right there in that second position, getting that cleaner transition down. But it is going to be interesting as we head into this dirt corner. Chriso keeping the wider line. He bonks, knowing he had to risk. Amentrus is able to sneak through, getting that second position. Chriso in third, and Smithy, unfortunately, in the back in that fourth spot. It's coming down to the end where everyone has to risk.
Yep, and Winky Face, although with a slight wheel tap, losing a bit of speed, still manages to pull ahead, having a 55.3, and that's nothing to scoff at. 55.3 is a really solid time, especially in rounds. And this should be the final run of this track, as Winky is definitely dominating the field right now. So far, he's gotten first in every single run. Once again, he's pulling ahead of the others. Amentrus with a tighter line, not having as much speed, but Smitty does fall back a bit as Chriso now moves up into third place. Amentrus and Winky Face still really close together, both fighting for the first place position, but Winky definitely having the upper hand. A lot of speed from him, and really good entry into the dirt section as well. Chriso and Smitty both falling behind. Currently it is a really solid 1, 2, 3, 4 as Smitty accidentally hits into the wall. And this is Winky Face once again all the way in first. Amentrus trying to just wait for an opportunity, a small mistake possibly from Winky in order to maybe 10 points away from him. But currently it does seem like Winky Face just really smoothly, very confidently moves into the finish, and that will be another 10 points for him. A 54.7.
That's insane, Winky. What
All
are
right.
you doing? What are you doing, Winky?
Okay, Winky.
That's just 40 points for him. He's able to clean up on this map, knowing that he had the consistent times. He PB'd on every single map during warm-up, and he was top seed. He got all the best times, so it is looking like Winky Face is going to be heading into the next map with a comfortable lead over his competitors. But as we do head into Caster, we've got this track, which is kind of tight, but at the same time, there is a lot of areas that you can try and optimize.
Yep, Castay definitely one of the tracks that are, like I said, very simple to drive, but speed would be a very big factor, especially in the final jump. So it's just word of how much speed you can maintain throughout the track. It doesn't matter if you get a few bad turns here and there, as long as you keep up the speed, do the right lines, everything would be perfect and fine.
Yeah, it's definitely coming down to who can, like, first place is Winky. We are aware of this, and if Winky can keep up the consistency, Winky's going to be moving to the grand final in that comfortably first position. But looking at second place, it's still a close fight. There's only 4 points separating Amentrus and and Chriso. And that's going to be Chriso winning a round and Amentrus getting third place. That is still very possible on this map, knowing that what's at stake. It's anyone's game for second place.
All the players are definitely very nervous right now, probably except Winky. You know, he's 40 points. He just got full sweep against everyone else. He's very comfortable going into this map, but it's all about who gets second, like you said. Amentrus having 4-point lead against Chriso, Chriso having a 7-point lead against Smithy. It's still pretty close. It's still anyone game, since no one's getting 10 points yet so far, other than Winky, because none of the players can match up to his pace. But it's now all on the first turn. All the players definitely really close to each other. Amentrus having a really wide line, a lot of speed, and it seems like he's the one to pull ahead with Winky Face right behind him. And Smithy, Chriso all managing to pull up ahead, but Smithy accidentally hits the checkpoint and flies off. It is Winky Face currently in the lead, but in terms of speed, Amentrus seems like he has a lot more speed compared to everyone else. Now Winky is slowly falling behind, and Amentrus is slowly catching up, but with not the best line, Amentrus does lose a bit of speed. Winky currently in the lead, Chriso in third. It seems like it is solidified, and that's it. Winky with another 10 points.
Another 10 points for Winky. It's a 46.2 as well, which is a very comfortable time for him. Smithy just recovering in the back, and he hits the... Okay, good. I was going to say, Smithy, if you bonked the finish and fell out, I would not know what to say about that one. But we do have that being another 10 points for Winky, and Amentrus able to grow his lead over Chriso, making 6 points separating the two as we do head into round 2 here with all the players going at the start. We've got good speed from everyone. Amentrus keeping a very solid line at the start, not really steering much, but will this help him out onto the dirt as he does get the clean transition, keeping on the black to try and keep as much speed as possible as we do have everyone going onto the pipe with basically the same pace. We've got Amentrus in that first position, overtaking Chriso, but a bit of a bad line on the dirt is going to cost him. It's going to be Winky pulling into that first place. Got Chriso there, and Amentrus bonked! Amentrus is knocked out of the round with a brutal bonk. It does mean that we're going to have Smithy moving up into that third place. It's going to be Chriso and Winky fighting for that first position right now. Chriso's getting a cleaner line on this one. He's gaining speed. He's currently on the inside of Winky, but Winky is able to get the cleaner landing, and it is going to be Winky taking out the round with a 46.1. Chriso, 0.03 behind. Still not a bad effort.
I would say Chriso definitely pulling up in terms of consistency so far, but Winky Face just demolishing everyone right now. 60 points and counting. Amentrus and Chriso still fighting for second place, both having just a 2-point gap between them. Smithy slightly falling behind as we get into the last round for this track. Winky Face might be looking to get home, go to the next track with 78, might just end it next map. You know, very dominant fashion. Just Winky Face, really good time so far, really consistent. And we have Amentrus having a really nice line. Amentrus really good on the outside dirt, keeping a lot of speed, but unfortunately Winky does pull ahead by a slight bit. And Chriso does move into second position since he does have more speed. Smithy all the way in the back, unfortunately, with a sad bonk. But Amentrus gonna have to try and keep up with the rest of the two, as Chriso does look like he has a very good lead ahead of Amentrus, and that should be 7 points for him. And Winky Face all the way in front. That's just another 10 point. A .026. Chriso unable to just snipe Winky. He does have a lot of speed. He does have more speed at the end, but Winky just a very good start. Better lines and just taking home 70 points. Not getting a single second so far.
That's going to put him comfortably in the lead, but Chriso has fought his way back to tie with Amentrus on the final round of this map, as we do have everyone at the start keeping good pace, and we've got basically all the players on top of each other. Winky getting a much cleaner lineup to start, able to get that little bit of extra speed, but Chriso's there fighting as well. He knows that he could still try and get that second position. Winky getting a much cleaner line through everything, trying to hold as straight as possible to keep as much speed through the chicane. Chriso actually managing to pull ahead for a moment, but having to go a little bit tighter on the dirt drift, which means that he is going to lose a bit of speed. He's having a double drift on that uphill because he knew that he did have the wrong angle, but it does mean he's still in that second position with Amentrus right behind. Will Amentrus be able to recover this? Most likely not, but it is going to be Winky who can pull ahead, get himself the comfy 80 points, and Chriso able to get those 7 points, moving him into the lead, with Smithy actually overtaking Amentrus. I believe Amentrus may have bonked, and that is Amentrus getting 3 points. Moving out of this map, Winky's on 80.
How? Just how do you do it? How? Winky, what? I don't understand. How he's just like constantly being on good pace, outpacing everyone. He's not pushing as hard as well. He could push harder on all of the tracks, but he just knows as long as he keep a consistent and just a safe pace for himself, he can just beat anyone else trying to just full commit, since he's just that good of a player. Like, goddamn, 80 points.
They do head into the warm-up here. I'd like to quickly mention, Winky Face is our number 2 in Australia. Obviously, number 1, we know him, we love him, Mutta. Mutta being the previous world champ who won TMGL. Winky Face is 2nd in Australia. So he's not just a good player, he is the 2nd best player in Australia. So he is going into this with quite a comfortable margin, able to get a lot of good results in previous tournaments. He's just good.
He's just very good.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Very good. But yeah, as we saw just now, Smithy getting 3rd and actually denying Amentrus from 5 points. So that might just help him out a bit, just helping out Chriso just by a teeny bit, giving him a slight lead, just a bigger gap between the two players, 4 points.
Indeed. So, getting the update from the other match, Kunal and Einol, the 2 Type N members, are currently in 1st and 2nd, with Careless Cobra and Kelber close to each other, but still trying to fight to take over Einol's position. But we head into round 1 on this match, where we have Winky Face in the lead once again, able to keep a clean line on this, with Chriso only 0.1 behind him. It's 0.99, but everyone loves Randy. He's gaining a little bit of speed on this one though. Chriso being comfortable on this map as well, and Winky Winky bonks for the first time, and that's going to be Winky put into the 4th position. Smithy, unfortunately, bonking as well. It's going to be a fight between Chriso and Amentris for that 1st position. Amentris is trying to keep as much speed as possible, but Chriso's still got that lead on him. Able to get a clean drift here, and Amentris losing speed from a bonk, and it does mean he's going to have to go for the safe finish, so Chriso can run away with that 1st spot, and Amentris will get that 2nd position.
I would say Chriso somehow managing to get 1st does put him ahead of Amentris by a lot, because Winky Face is getting 10 points consistently, and now suddenly out of nowhere, Chriso is the one taking home the 10 points. Now the gap is just getting bigger between Chriso and Amentris. Amentris definitely have to step up, and if he wants to qualify into the grand finals. But Winky Face definitely having a really good start, and I believe that was Smithy accidentally hitting the side of the wall, losing a lot of speed, and now it's just fight for top 1 between these 3 players, Chriso, Winky Face, and Amentris. Chriso having a really good pace, actually being ahead of Winky Face as we go into the drift. These 2 players are definitely duking it out in this track. Not the best track for Winky, but Chriso still managing to keep up to a really strong player. As you say, the 2nd place in Australia, and as he flies off to the side, Winky Face not having the best of times, and that is another 1st place for Chriso.
That is another 1st place for Chriso. He's keeping the consistency, and he's gotten comfortable with his map. Winky, despite the fact that he did PB on this map and got a very, very solid time, unfortunately he's not able to pull the results out here. And it's going to be Chriso who is able to take that win once again, get himself another 10 points, 20 points separating him and Winky. The margin is closing. As we do head into the next round, we do have Winky trying to take the smooth start to try and get as much speed on Chriso. Chriso, knowing he's got a fighting chance on this map, is going to be keeping that inside line a little bit ahead of Winky. Both of them getting a smooth landing on that. Winky actually able to keep a stronger line through this corner. Getting so close to the chicane, knowing that he has to keep as much speed as possible. But he is holding steady as he jumps across to the sausage transition. We've got Chriso right behind there as well, who does take a bit of a tighter drift, and it means Amentris can actually catch up, and he bonks the wall. It's going to be Amentris who loses all of his speed, but Chriso knows he can still fight for that position and get his 7 points. Winky comfortably in the lead now. Does get through the section he did bonk last time, and it's going to be Winky going into the finish, getting himself a 42.6. Winky wins by knockout.
Wait, what?
Apparently, Winky wins by knockout. Fair enough. Apparently, there's a bug with the game mode, and Winky just gets his 10 points. Apparently, no one got extra points, so that's going to be kind of unfortunate. But Winky Face is going to be 4 points away from reaching that finalist spot as he's keeping a strong line through this section. Amentris, a margin behind, but Chriso is able to keep on his tail. Smithy taking a better inside line, getting more speed than Chriso, but bonking that outside wall, and he does bonk the road, and that is going to be him, unfortunately, knocked out of that round, as we do have Winky.
Okay, this is interesting. Alright, Winky Face just now getting 3 points for no reason. But, you know, now he's in finalists. It's now just up to whoever is in 2nd place to try and keep up and try and finish it off, which is Chriso on 66 points, ahead of Amentris by 10.
So we have some clarification. We are using TMGL rules, even though we shouldn't be. We should just be using basic cup rules. So basically,
bug in the system.
There is a bug with this semi-final where, unfortunately, it is playing with the TMGL settings. So a comfortable lead is enough to knock out everyone else and get those 10 points. So
it's just a slight bug. Hopefully it does go away in the grand finals as we just wait for the players to get warmed up on Euphoria once again. We have Winky Face absolutely destroying everyone, so this should be his track to just take home, get 1st place, move into the grand finals very comfortably, and it's now just up to the fight between Chriso and Amentris.
Indeed, and if Winky can just get the win on this map, which we've seen him done a few times, it's basically going to be Winky getting that first seed, moving into the grand final. It's going to be Amentris and Chriso who are going to be dueling that 2nd spot. And if Chriso can hold his steady pace, Who knows? Chriso may be that second seed.
Potentially. As we get into the first round of Euphoria once again, we have Winky Face already in the lead very early on. All the players are still pretty closely stacked together. Falling behind is Chriso, the current player who's in second place. Winky Face moving into first, having a really wide line, having a lot of speed into the full turn. And it's now just the three players trying to fight for second place, as Winky is probably gonna move ahead and fly off with first. He goes on the outer lines. He has a lot of speed. He's going very wide on a lot of the turns, but Chriso actually manages to overtake and moves into first. Amentrus right behind him. Winky now having to fight for his first place again, but that is Chriso moving a bit too wide, and that is Winky in the lead, but he does clip the side. And it is Amentrus moving up into first. This 10 points will give him a very big advantage on Chriso, as he now finishes and manages to move just a tad bit closer to Chriso's score. But Chriso does have 7 points. Winky Face does not finish, not managing to deny points from both Chriso and Smithy. Well played from Mantris, managing to keep first.
And it is going to be really unfortunate for Winky having to DNF in that round, knowing that he couldn't get his win to lead finalist. But as we do head into the next round, Winky knows this is another new chance for him to get that spot. As we do have Amentrus keeping a solid line, but it's got to be Winky keeping a bit more speed out of that. Keeping the inside line, and Amentrus has to slow down. It does mean that he is going to drop to the back of the pack. Chriso keeping a bit of speed, but Winky is just gaining. He's keeping a lot of speed, snowballing into the grass. Will he be able to keep the clean drift? And he drifts it so cleanly. He knows that all he has to do is drive safe and keep Chriso in his rear view. And it's see you later to everyone. He moves to the grand final, as we have Winky going onto the sausage transition, keeping it smooth, getting onto the platform with a very flight transition. Can I just say, that was smooth. As we have Winky moving further ahead, Chriso knows he has to fight to try and get that first spot. Winky could still fail the ending as we do head into the final dirt drift. He's keeping a good line with that, doesn't bonk, and into the finish. And your first grand finalist will be Winky Face, the #1 seed.
Congratulations, Winky, on making it to the grand finals. First player in the grand final so far, as we have Chriso now moving up in 80 points. Amentrus on 71. So these two players are still definitely duking it out. Only 9-point difference between these two players. As Chriso going really wide on the start, like really wide, and giving up a bit of early pace in order to gain a bit more speed in the long run. As we can see here, going very outside. He is now having a lot of speed, moving into first, having the most speed out of the bunch. But it seems like Smithy is actually tied up with him. Smithy moving ahead, actually, of both the second place contenders, and Amentrius trying to keep up, trying to fight for his second place position, as Chris accidentally hits the wall, and Smithy in the lead. Really comfortable first place for him. Amentrius almost managing to snipe him, but it's all up to the end. Amentrus might have the pace, might have enough speed just to get the 10 points for himself and move Chriso down the leaderboard just a bit more. It's all up to the end now. Smithy hits the side, and it is Amentrus with 10 points and Chriso with 7. Smithy, unfortunate, not managing to finish it off just in time, hitting the side of the finish line, and losing points.
Going to be Chriso moving up to 87 points, 13 away from that coveted finalist spot. As we do head into the next round on this map, we do have all the players starting close. It's going to be Amentrus actually able to keep a lot of speed on that one. Smithy bonking the first corner, and that's going to be him dropping way into the back of the pack. Will he be able to keep up with everyone else? As we do have Chriso moving to that dirt section, trying to keep a wide line. I believe he had to release the accelerator for that one, but he is still keeping pace, still on Amentrus' tail. Amentrus just has to keep him in the rear view, and that's another 10 points for him. But it's going to be Chriso able to keep right on his tail. Not much separating these two competitors as we do head into this U-turn. Everyone's keeping really close, and it's Chriso who bonks the wall, loses his speed. Amentrus can move ahead, and that's going to be him just able to hold the lead, but Chriso is right there. Smithy knows he can still get points, so he's going to be fighting to try and get that second spot, cause an upset with Chriso, and make sure that it's going to be harder for Chriso to get that finalist spot, as Amentrus can just clean up this round, get himself first place, Chriso in second, and Smitty in third.
Amentrus actually getting just a tad bit closer. If he manages to get first again, he will be moving into finalist. as well as Crystal. Crystal just has to maintain second. This could be a double finalist situation into the spot for the grand finals. That will be very interesting to watch.
As we have just heard, Kunal managed to take the first spot in the other match. Congratulations to Kunal. The person I said was going to get his first spot. He has not let me down. He is the player I was looking out for, and he did perform. Congratulations to him for moving to the grand final, where he will be taking on Winky Face, as we do have a situation where Chriso is 6 points away, Amentress is 9, Smithy is 43. So if Chriso and Amentress, Chriso needs to get first or second. Amentress needs to get first. So if we manage to have that situation happen, we will have a double finalist, which is going to be very exciting. So we will be watching the warm-up for another 30 seconds. I am interested to see how this one goes, knowing that Amentress and Chriso can both see the light at the end of the tunnel, but only one of them will be able to pass through.
Amentress definitely having to keep up pace. If he manages to get first, it would be double finalist, as I said. But Chriso, if he manages to drive well and denies first place from Amentress, it will be a free finalist for him and potentially might just nab out the victory early on.
And we do have the race starting, the round that's going to decide it all, which is going to be, will it be a double finalist or will it be one of them hitting finalists as we do head off to start? We have Amentress right there in that first position. We do have Smitty right behind, and Chriso is actually tailing the back of the pack, but he's going to keep more speed, trying to keep as much line on the dirt as possible, and it's going to be Smithy who takes the early lead, but Amentress is able to keep more speed, snowballing. They head across the pipe. Not much wobble from Amentress. Chriso is going to have to take that inside line, but Smithy tries to take that snipe. Moves into first position with a strong lead there, as Chriso handles this drift a lot better than the other two, able to keep a lot more speed out of that one, moving past Amentress into that third position. We've got Smithy still comfortably in the lead, knows he can still get 10 points, but Chriso is on his tail. Chriso knows what's in sight, manages to get that downhill drift on the grass, and it's going to be Smithy who's going to take the inside line, so it's going to be Chriso who's able to keep more speed out of that, and it's going to be Chriso moving into finalists with Smithy in second, and Amentress one more round to get finalist as Chriso has his chance to get into the grand final.
Chriso now in finalist mode, Amentress having to play out this one more round in order to get into finalist himself. He now has to deny Chriso. If he doesn't, it will be Chriso moving on to the grand finals and him out of the tournament in the semi-finals. As we can see, Chriso, Amentress, Smithy, all really tightly packed together. So far, no big mistakes from any player. Amentress moving a bit forward, having a tiny bit more speed. And in terms of the line into the dirt, it is Amentress with a much better line. Chriso coming out with more speed, might be able to snipe the players here. And he does move into first. So now Chriso is gonna be all the way in first, but Smithy has a lot of speed. He might be able to snipe Chriso, and Amentress not far behind as well. Any small mistake from any players could be the difference in this round, as Chriso still maintaining first, having just a teeny bit less speed, but manages to finish it off, and it will be Chriso moving on to the grand finals alongside Winky Face.
Congratulations to Chriso for moving into the grand finals, where he will be competing against Kunal and whoever takes that second spot in the other match. We are just waiting to see how that one plays out. And it does appear it's going to be Einol. Einol, who we had taking the first place in the first match, manages to get that second position behind Kunal. So the grand final will be Winky Face, Chriso, Kunal, and Einol playing for a single winner. 10 points and $10 US.
We have Taipan versus the Aussies. That'll be a very interesting match to watch, honestly.
That's going to be good. Knowing that we have two Aussies, the number 2 in Australia, and Chriso, who is another really solid player. Kunal, who we've seen in AOTC before, and Einol, who we've seen do really well so far in this tournament. We have 4 very strong competitors as we are going to be moving to the grand final soon. Overall, congratulations to everyone who made the top 8. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Smithy, Amentress, Careless Cobra, and Kelva. Kelva, who I thought would be making it to the grand final, but unfortunately, Einol was able to hold steadier and get himself into the grand final. It's Taipan versus Australia, essentially.
Yep, this will be a very interesting match to watch. Although there will be not much competing with team by team, it's more likely they will be competing against each other. So It's a 1v1v1v1 scenario. At the end of the day, it's winner takes all. And it seems like Winky Face definitely is really confident on Euphoria. But unfortunately, in terms of Wisteria, he does fall behind in terms of consistency, and that's where he might lose out on a lot of points compared to the other players.
Indeed. And looking at the current standings, with saying goodbye to our current players, we are going to be seeing Metra, Smithy, Cobra, and Kelva each get 2 FastPoint points, or FPPs as we like to call them. And that's going to be handy for the end of the year where the perks are going to be handed out. But 2 points is still double everyone else who finished 9th to 16th. So that's a good start heading into the first APAC Monthly Cup, where they were able to get quite a solid placement. If they can keep this consistency up, who knows? We may see them in further rounds.
Yep, indeed. It was well played from those who placed 5 to 8. You were really close in order to qualify into grand finals. And overall, all the players that qualified, congratulations. You guys made it top 16. It is not easy, especially in a lobby filled with these players.
Indeed. And with the strength of the competition that we do have here, getting a top 16 position, especially when you have 28 to do with, narrowing it down to 16, and then competing in the 16 to get 8, and then competing against the top 8 who have qualified to get those top 4 spots. Congratulations to Winky, Chriso, Kunal, and Einol for first of all getting to the grand final. That's a huge step in and of itself. And everyone else who qualified top 16 has done an amazing job in getting there. So congratulations to everyone so far. But we will be having the grand finals coming up. Who's your pick?
Honestly, I'm very looking forward to Winky winning it all, because he has shown us the potential, especially on a few of the tracks. It's not really easy to knock him out, but if the consistency part does kick in, I think Kunal might be the one who takes home the victory.
Indeed. And with that, we do see the bracket once again. We see all our quarterfinalists: Winky, Smithy, Starlight, Sankit, Amentress, Chriso, Bedgley, PRL, Kunal, Cobra, Kian, Racia, Anol, Kuda, Kelva, and Nero. All really solid players, and moving forward, you could see Taipans had a really good sitting there, with Kunal and Einol moving forward to the grand final. We've had a lot of Australians also competing really well with that as well. Honestly, I'm excited to see what happens with the grand final. It's going to be a close fight regardless.
Yep, we have top 3 seats. Seat 1 Winky, seat 2 Kunal, seat 3 Einol, and seat 5 Crystal, all in the grand final. So this would definitely be a really close match to watch, especially since a lot of these players are really strong. And players from Taiwan, players from Australia, you can't look down on them. It's going to be a really fun match to watch as we go on a break quite soon. We will be back in a bit, and we will prepare for the grand finals.
Indeed. finals, Winkyface, Chriso, Kunal, Einol. 4 really strong players ready to compete for the #1 prize. I am excited to see how this match goes.
Oh boy, this will be so fun to watch, not just who takes it all, but which region. This is a fight between regions right now. We have the Asia versus the Aussies. We have Winkyface Chriso from Australia, Kunal Einol from Asia, both under Taipan. This will be a really interesting 2v2 to watch, but obviously they will have to fight between each other as well as they fight for FPP, which is FastPoint points, which, as I've said multiple times, it will give you a small perk at the end of the year, or it might be a big perk, I'm not sure. But these points will be racked up through all FastPoint events, including AOTC, a lot of the FastPoint monthly that will be happening from now on. And with that said, we have a few other events that I'd like to shout out. We have the Middle East and Africa tournament tomorrow, and next week we have the EMEA monthly. So more FP events, more FastPoint events for all of you to watch and all of you at home to enjoy.
With that as well, these events are great. We get to see a lot of great players compete, and a lot of them compete for that, but the prize pools are something that a lot of players want to be competing for, and the best way that you guys can support the prize pools is use !skins to get a link to TM Skins. It's a place where you can get some really great skins made by a lot of wonderful skin creators around the community. It's a good way to support FastPoint as well, because it contributes to the prize pools, and it gives us more money to play with, so that we can have we do have a lot of really good skins on that site. The seasonal skins that we use for FastPoint are the ones that are going to be supporting the prize pool. So make sure you go over to !skins, grab yourself the FastPoint skins for the seasonal, and support the prize pool so that we can start offering these players more money to do the same racing.
Yep, as you can tell, the competition between these players are really fun to watch, and if you were to donate, you get a cool skin. Plus, it's a big thank you to all of us here. It will be a lot of help from us, since you'll be supporting the players and giving them more incentive to compete. More competition equals more fun matches to watch, just like the grand finals we're about to see pretty soon.
Indeed, and these finals as well, something that was actually mentioned a few times but completely went over my head. Winkyface and Chriso are part of a team called Bedge. So it's Bedge versus Taipan. It's Australia versus Asia. This is what we like to call a spicy rivalry. We've got one of the best players in Australia and another super high player in Australia versus Kunal, a previous AOTC competitor, and Einol, another really high seed and top competitor. It is a rivalry for the ages. I am so excited to see how we go heading into the finals very soon. Honestly, I'd be surprised if Winkyface did not win it. I am hoping that someone else takes it just to shock me. But Winkyface has been putting out solid times. First seed, winner of first match, winner of second match. Basically, if he doesn't take out first place in this one, I'm going to be surprised.
I'll be very surprised as well, as he's a really strong contender, and if he's not the one to take home first place, who will it be? That is the bigger question. Who do you think will be the one to take home first, if it's not Winky?
I'm interested to see who could. I'm going to put my money on Kunal if Winky doesn't win it. My standing is going Winky first, Kunal second. I'm thinking Chriso is going to upset in the final and take out Einol's spot, moving him into fourth. But obviously, I want to see how this goes. And if Winky doesn't win, Kunal can get a comfortable first place, and Winky probably second, Chriso third, Einol fourth.
My predictions are slightly different because I think Winky will be first. Kunal will be second, Einol will be in third, or maybe them swapping around. That's my other prediction, but Chriso, I think, would be on fourth. It would be nice to see an upset from him, since he is the 5th seed coming into this grand finals. But yeah, I'm happy to be wrong, and let's just have some fun. Let's take a look at the match. It would be very interesting to watch these 4 players, as I think they're pretty tightly knit in terms of multiple skill sets, if you compare it all together.
Indeed. And looking at the brackets once again, we've had a lot of really wonderful players in here. We've had Winkyface, Smithy, Starlight, and Sankit all competing in that first match. Winky taking it handily and Smithy getting that second, but Smithy unfortunately getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. In the second match, we had Amentus. My brain not working. We got Chriso, we got Bedgley and PRL. A lot of really good players there. Chriso and Amentus moving forward, but unfortunately Amentus got knocked out in that second match. That third match was Kunal, Cobra, Kian, and Rasia. And Kunal was able to move forward with Careless Cobra, but unfortunately we had to say goodbye to Careless Cobra. In that fourth match that we watched, we had Einol, Kuda, Kelva, and Nero. Kelva providing the upset and knocking out Kuda, but unfortunately not able to hold it as Einol was able to move forward out of that one. Overall, a lot of really strong players there. A couple of upsets, if I don't say so myself, but we've got a good grand final.
I think the biggest upset so far was definitely Kelva moving on instead of Kuda Jingdruk. That was very fun to watch, honestly. The ending was really intense. It was literally anyone's game to the last moment.
Indeed. And with that as well, Kuda was doing really well with his times, and it came down to that one map that he kept failing, unfortunately. So it does mean that he is going to be knocked out there in that first round, where he could have had a better chance if he did better on Wisteria. Wisteria is a difficult map, I gotta give him that. But if he held steady on Wisteria, he could have upset Kelva.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's still one FastPoint point, so, you know, you can't complain about that.
FastPoint point.
1 point is 1 point.
FastPoint point is also just really hard to say. Like, I like FPP, because it's easier to say FPP
cool.
than FastPoint point. Because then you say too many points when you're tired, and suddenly it becomes fast point, and then you got an issue on your hands.
Yes, fast points. Many points, yes.
But
currently, we are still waiting for the match to come online, but in the meantime, let's take a look at some of the other players from previous matches that we didn't really see, especially the match 6, you know, the match between Kunal, Einol, Careless Cobra, and Kelva. So like you said, you were predicting Kelva actually upsetting, right?
Yeah, look, I had high hopes for Kelva because I saw him doing really well previously. And I know Kelva's a strong player himself. But Einol managed to hold steady, and Kunal was the one I expected to go through. So Kunal definitely didn't disappoint me with that. But Einol actually managed to hold steady. And while not unsurprising, he was the highest seed, and he was the one who won the first match. It was interesting to see that Kelva managed to snipe in that previous match, but wasn't able to pull through and actually got 4th place in that match behind Careless Cobra. That being said, Careless Cobra was a really good player in his own right, and I believe he was higher seeded than Kelva. He was 7th seed, so having that stronger place than the Kelva meant that Kunal in 2nd and Einol in 3rd, it basically went in seed order, 2, 3, 7, 11.
Yep, 7-11. Very nice matchup.
Oh, very nice matchup.
Very nice
Days
matchup.
on folks.
But the first two matches, the matches with Winky Face, Smithy, Starlight, Sankit, Amentress, Crizzle, Batchley, and PRL seemed like the higher seeds definitely got the better of each other. And Crizzle, Amentress being 1 seed apart. In the end, Crizzle does, as we've seen just now, get the better of Amentress, unfortunately. And Crizzle moves on currently in the grand final, so we would like to see him perform really well, being 1 seed apart from basically the batch in front, 1, 2, 3, and 5. It would be fun to see him play it out. An upset could be really interesting to watch as well.
Amentress, interestingly, being the number 4 seed, meant that upset actually came through when Amentress lost to Crisso. Crisso managed to keep the round steadier and upset the 4th seed, so we do have that break where it's 1, 2, 3, and 5. But Crisso could have taken the 4th seed if he had a bit better times in qualification. 5th seed's nothing to scoff at either, but with 1, 2, 3, and 5, we've got the top 5 seeds minus Amentress competing. That's incredible.
It is indeed. It seems like everyone who was fast in terms of the time attack is still consistent and have fast pace in the match and rounds itself.
My question to you though is, we know that basically we've got our money on Winky to win. We know that Kunal is most likely going to get 2nd place. Do you think so is actually going to be 4th, or do you think that he could be upset by Einol?
Honestly, I think he will be 4th in this case, because Einol is a really strong contender, although we've seen him fall a bit, behind due to pressure here and there, but I think at the end of the day, he's still a really strong player, and if he does pull through, he might even upset Kunal at the end of the day.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, considering the fact that obviously these players, like Winky and Crisso got to play with each other, and Kunal and Einol got to play with each other. But they didn't play together. We've got the Taipan players who have probably played together, done tournaments together, they know each other. The bench players have played together, they're teammates, they know each other. But it's team versus team as well. it's not just who can get first place and who can get the 10 points and the 10 USD. It's which team can win. Because if Kunal and Aino get second and third, technically they're tied placements.
It's not just about the points, it's about the glory, and it's about bringing back the trophy for your home turf, which is Asia or Oceania. These two regions definitely battling out since the start of AOTC, I'd like to say.
It's been a long-term rivalry, and especially being able to cast when I was watching Kunal. I know Kunal's a very strong competitor. He's representing India very proudly. And I know, being a Malaysian player, I believe you mentioned you were a Malaysian yourself.
Yep, I am Malaysian myself, so I'm kind of rooting for my home player.
You're rooting for your home team. Luckily, I've got 2 in my final, so even if Chriso doesn't pull through, at least I've got Winky Face, who, keep in mind, second in Australia. So he is a strong competitor heading into this. Not only is he been pulling out good results here, first seed, winner of first match, winner of second match, he is another top player, and he's definitely someone to watch out for. But I've got 2 people who are competing for me in Australia. I know may be able to upset Chriso, but will he upset Winky Face and bring home the Malaysian glory?
Well, I would say that would be really interesting to watch, but that might be a bit of a copium since Winky Face is really strong, and he beat on all 3 warm-up maps on all the seeding matches. Like, that's not something you see every day, and plus he's second only to one of the best players in TMGL, so there's that as well.
It's basically the same as if Mudder came in and just swept the tournament. Everyone's like, it's Winky Face, it's whatever.
Yeah,
but at the same time, finals matter. We can say all of like, oh yeah, Winky's got to win, Winky's going to win, Winky's going to win. But in the end, if Winky doesn't perform, it's anyone's game. Kunal could take it out and win. Chriso could upset everyone and win. Aino could take it out and win. It's basically just who can have that consistency in the grand final, who can keep playing to that high level, and overall, who gets the most points.
It would be very, very fun to watch. And I'm not sure, man. Like, goddamn, these 4 players, they're just all around the place. Like, Winky, like, we know that he's a really good player. We understand that he has very good times, but he has been underperforming in especially Wisteria, which might be bad for him. If he manages to pull out very, like, just consistent times on Wisteria, this is his tournament to win. But if he continues to crash here and there on Wisteria, this might be a bit difficult, and it might be a much closer match than we expect from him.
Wisteria is definitely one of those difficult maps, and I'm interested to see how the finals play. However, we are having a few technical difficulties. We are trying to resolve them as soon as possible so Chriso can get to Bedge. But we are trying to get them all resolved so we can get this match underway. It's alright, folks. Just kick back, relax, maybe grab yourself a beverage. We'll have a look at these maps here. We have Caste, we have Wisteria and Euphoria. Wisteria being that difficult map where you have to have that consistency. You can't be crashing, or suddenly you're out of the round. We saw that with Winky, who was number 1. He had basically 70 points heading into the round, and then bonks. He went from highest to losing a round, and that's one crash that upset him that turned into 3 or 4 because he took the wrong line.
He went to 80 out of 80 to Wisteria. That's what happened.
Yes.
Wisteria
will claim a lot of victims, I reckon. There will be a lot of crashes, there will be a lot of bonks, and a lot of upset people knowing that they could have had a better line. Euphoria has been probably the middle. I've seen a lot of clean runs on cast. There's not a lot of weird routes on it. Like, it's basically the same driving. Everyone takes basically the same line. Maybe some slight optimizations. But that map had the most consistency. And then we had Euphoria, which was like the middle of the mix. You had a lot of people crashing on some sections. You had a lot of speed gain. You had the ending, which that drift is brutal. You hit the wall, you lose all your speed. You may not be able to get the fast finish you're looking for.
And Caste, especially one of the tracks which heavily relies on speed snowballing, that one dirt turn after there's an outside dirt turn, and from that point onwards, as long as you maintain speed, if you get good lines, the ending part, you might just be able to snipe someone no matter how far ahead they are on the start. At the end of the day, it's all just how much you can snowball, and all these 3 tracks, they have their own uniqueness to it, you know. Castell being about speed snowballing, Wisteria just, difficult. And Euphoria being about how well you can drive each lines and not missing the finish, because, that is ultimately one of the scariest part of the track, the ending, the risky finish. It's not that easy to hit.
Risky finish is interesting. I've seen a lot of risky finishes. Obviously, I've been playing the game for a long time, but I've never seen a risky finish with a reverse finish where you're trying to jump through the triangle. That's probably the most unique I've seen for a while.
I mean, it's, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, true. That's true. I actually really liked, I believe it was Wisteria's risky finish, where you do have that jump where you actually tilt your car sideways from how you're leaving it and bonk off the plastic. That's a really cool risky finish as well. And I think a lot of these competitive maps that you'll see have really interesting risky finishes, that chance to get that little bit of extra speed and get that faster finish. But I think risky finishes in competitive are a little bit underrated.
I think the risky finish part, some of them are not risky enough. They are called risky finish after all. But at the same time, if you make it any more difficult, it might just end up, being the main part of the track, which is not what we want. We want good racing, not good finishes.
Yeah. And I think the whole point of risky finish, literally the phrase risky finish, it is supposed to be that risky bit. But sometimes when the risky finish is too risky, it does become that finish simulator where everyone could be driving the map perfectly. But if you can't hit that risky finish, you could lose your first position after being consistent the entire map. And all of a sudden, you miss a risky finish and you go to fourth. And we've seen that a couple of times. We saw Winky have that issue. We saw Chriso. We saw Kelva as well. Kuda actually had that issue in the final round of his match where he was competing for finalists, where he missed the finish. And that's risky. He had to push for that time. And because he failed that risky finish, he was knocked out.
Yep. That is really sad to see. And just a reminder, we do have a few more FastPoint events coming tomorrow and next week. We have for tomorrow the Middle East and Africa tournament, the first of their region, the first big tournament by FastPoint in their region. So it would be very interesting to see the play in and play out, because personally I have not seen any competition from their side of the things.
Indeed. I won't be casting, unfortunately, because I do the Asian one, because a lot of my OCE boys are here. But you will be seeing some great casters as well, so you'll be able to see them do it. And I might even be in chat, watching the competitors play and see how they go in the end. And overall, I hope for some fierce competition.
Any tournament is a good tournament if there is competition. As long as everything is, fun and games, players are competing, the times are close, all the races, all of the players really close together. Good risky finish, and the tracks as well. It's really nice since the FastPoint campaign they have really good tracks. I play them off stream and it's really fun to play for myself.
There are more maps being released, folks. Do not worry. These 3 maps are going to be part of a pool where there are a bunch of extra maps coming out. There's a lot of great mappers who have been submitting maps to this, so you're going to be seeing a lot of wonderful names you may recognize. And there's going to be a lot of interesting routes. There's going to be a lot of interesting drifts. There's going to be a lot of interesting content coming out, so make sure you go and follow the FastPoint Twitter, and I believe that's fastpoint.gg. Go and follow them. Go and check out the new maps that are coming out, because more map pools will be released. You'll get previews on the new maps, have a chance to try them out, and see what is actually coming out for all these FastPoint events.
And also, if you guys are not sure about the format of the Grand Finals, it's rather interesting. So as let me explain. So it's very interesting. We have 140 points instead of the normal 100 points. In other tournaments, we have a lot of 120 points, but nope, this time we have 140. So a lot of the tracks will be played out. Maybe we'll even go through 2 rotations or 1.5 rotation of tracks, which we will most likely play out maybe 5 maps or maybe 4. That is a guaranteed. And a lot of the players will be fighting for positioning, because it's not whether you can get finalist second or you can finish finalist third. It's how well you do after the first player finishes finalist. After the first player passes the finish line in finalist mode, it is over. It is game over, and it is a tiebreaker from there. Let's say you are in second place, you have the most points. You get second place automatically. If you're third before the finalist round and you have the most points, and you're in third place, you get third place. So there is no playing for more finalists. It's just ending directly on one player.
The case where it does come to a finalist, where we do have multiple people hitting finalists, it's going to be So say, for example, we have 3 finalists. It's going to be who finishes higher in the position. So if we have Winky take out the finalist spot and Chriso with second to finish, we are able to see second place go to Chriso and etc. etc. So as we do move into the match, we should be able to jump in very soon and watch the grand final go down as soon as this loads. Yes, I do believe we are just trying to set this up, folks. We do apologize. Once we have all the players joining, we should be able to get into and play out the finals, but we are just waiting on the last few players to join into the match, and then we will see if Winky Face can take out the grand finals.
This will be very interesting to watch, as we've talked a lot about all the players. You know, we have the sort of underdog going into this tournament. We have Chriso, who manages to place 5th in terms of seeding and is now in the grand finals, looking to upset anyone who makes a small mistake. We have Kunal, Ainol, both Taipan players, both quite well known in the Asian scene, and Winky Face as well, you know, second place in Australia, casually flexing on us, PBing in seedings, no problem.
Indeed, and as we see here, Chriso is showing off his Royale skills and figuring out quite an easy cut. Misses a couple of CPs along the way, but checkpoints are a joke. Could you imagine if checkpoints were just not existent? Just play every map, there's no checkpoints. If you fail, but there's no checkpoints, so you can go anywhere.
Well, I mean, then Katsu would just be everywhere, since you can just jump from any place to the next.
Oh, I mean, that's half the fun of it, you know. Trackmania has always been one of those games where it's not just, you know, clever driving. There's been a lot of cuts on a lot of the campaign tracks. There's been a lot of cuts you've seen in Cup of the Day. It's mainly trying to find the fastest route throughout the map. And with the checkpoints do make a difference because it does force you to drive certain lines. But just imagine if they weren't there for it. Could you imagine how insane the cuts would be?
Honestly, I think there are a lot of tracks which doesn't have cut just because of one very well placed checkpoint. And if you take the checkpoints all the way, it will be very interesting to see how players would approach different tracks. And since if there are no checkpoints, there might be tracks that might pop out with just multiple different types of surfaces. You know, you have different paths, and you know, it's just finding which path is the most comfortable for you and which one is the fastest, which might put in a bit of strategy and get your brain into competitions.
Indeed. And as we do have the match starting, we are going into a warm-up. No warm-up, we're straight into first round. As we do have all the players getting started quite strong. Winky Face comfortably in the lead, Ainol in second, Kunal in third, Chriso just behind in fourth. Going to be Winky going really wide, keeping himself a strong line there. As we have Ainol taking a bit of a wider line, meaning Kunal can go ahead and try and take that second position. Holds it pretty steady as he does hit the drift. He knows he has to catch up Winky Face. It's going to be Winky Face who's just comfortably in the lead by about 0.8 of a second. Ainol and Chriso actually dueling it out. It's definitely these two that are going to be the ones to watch in the bottom 2 spots. But Chriso is actually trying to fight his way up into Kunal's spot. As Ainol crashes, unfortunately, knocking him out of the round. It's going to be Winky holding steady on the dirt. Will he crash the top? And no, he gets over there smoothly into the finish. Gets himself 10 points. Kunal bogs the finish. And that's going to put him into third position. The 2 Australians taking out first and second.
Seems like both the Australians are definitely taking it strong. But yeah, Adam, I would like to pass it on to you for a few rounds.
Of course,
you can take it away. You know, your Aussie players are doing really well so far.
Oh, thank you. Have some pride for my players. We do get started with round 2. All the players keeping well. Winky actually bonking on the dirt, and that's going to knock him back into 4th place. Kunal actually able to get the lead. Ainol fighting for that first spot as well. Chriso there in 3rd position. Winky recovering, but will he have enough speed to try and catch up as everyone heads through the chicanes over onto the jump? It's basically smooth as we do have Ainol hitting that drift cleanly. Kunal actually taking the inside line, trying to overtake him, making sure he's trying to keep as much speed as possible. Winky overtaking Chriso and moving into that 3rd spot. We have Kunal in that 2nd position right behind Ainol. Will Ainol be able to move his way up as we do have Kunal trying to trying to get some inside corners there. Einol's going to be pushing wide onto the dirt, trying to keep as much speed as possible. Kunal's right behind with Chriso in that third position. As we do head into the dirt corner, everyone takes it cleanly, and that's going to be Einol in first, Kunal in second, Chriso crashing the finish just to be funny, and Winky in that fourth position. Currently, it appears that it's going to be a tie between Einol and Winky. Quite an interesting start.
It does seem very interesting. So far, all the players are doing quite well in terms of points. Einol especially still managing to keep up with Winky, so that will be fun to see.
Indeed, and as we do get into round 3 as well, because you want me to show my love for Winky and Chriso there, we do have Winky currently in that first position. Kunal moving down to third and bonking! That's going to mean he is going to be moving to fourth place with Chriso able to fight his way into that second position, keeping a lot more speed over Einol. Einol's going to be pushing his way forward as Winky is currently in the lead, holding a steady margin. It's going to be Winky and Chriso in first and second once again as Winky heads around the U-turn, hitting it quite cleanly, getting onto the dirt bank, hitting it smooth. We've got Chriso there in that second position, Einol right behind. Will he be able to push forward into that fourth position? Kunal is currently 6 seconds behind. He's just in the back having a good time, but it's going to be Chriso holding steady. 0.3 separating Einol and Chriso. Will Chriso be able to hold himself in that position as we do head into the dirt? Everyone taking it cleanly. Einol's going to go up a bit earlier, but it is going to lose him that bit of speed. And it's going to be Winky in first, Chriso in second, Einol in third, and Kunal just jumping into the finish before. As a reminder, folks, we are playing to one winner, so in the end, all these points will just determine if you're second, third, and fourth, if it's one winner and one finalist. As we head into the fourth round here, we've got Winky Face quite comfortable in this position, but it's going to be Einol trying to fight for that position. Kunal keeping the same line as Winky, but Winky is able to keep himself steadier. Kunal actually having a break to try and keep that line, but it's going to be Winky able to keep a good speed in as he does jump over to the flat, and it's going to be Einol in that third position. Chriso actually moving into third position there with Einol, I believe, losing a bit of speed on the bonk. Kunal trying to fight his way into that first position. Winky comfortably in the lead. All he has to do is drive cleanly, and that's going to be some more points for him. Chriso's got to be trying to catch up to Kunal as well as they do head into the inside drift. It's going to be everyone going into that uphill drift and all of them taking it cleanly. Winky Face still holding steady. Will he be able to make his way through? Doesn't bonk the dirt wall. Able to get into the finish. Another 10 points for him. Kunal in second, Chriso in third, and Einol in fourth. 1 second separating all four.
It seems like all of the players are definitely quite close in terms of fighting for second place. Winky Face definitely moving up in terms of points, having a 9 gap lead from the second place player. Currently, we are moving on to the next map, which will be definitely interesting to watch because that was Winky's best map. Currently, it is Castay, one of the most snowbally speed maps, if I said before. We have Einol, Kunal, Chriso, all 3 of them being just 2 points apart. So it's still anyone's game to try and move forward, try and overtake Winky Face. So all of the players here really close by next to each other as we move into the warm-up. All these players trying to get as much grinding as they can into this map. Shake off them nerves. It is the grand finals. All of them must be shaking in their boots, being afraid to hit any wall that comes by.
Now, I'm kind of offended by the fact that you said shaking in their boots, because clearly Chriso is that much of a Chad that he wears Crocs when he plays. Chriso is a Crocs wearer and a proud one at that, but everyone else is shaking in their boots because boots are good to wear as well. And I believe I've had some pride with Australia. It's time for you to show some pride for your Asian people. And Einol, your Malaysian brother, let's see you cast this man.
My Malaysian brother, Einol, being one of the best players I've seen from my country. And he has been putting up a lot of other good placements in other AOTCs as well, the previous iterations of it. And Kunal being, once again, from India, a really strong place to play. India has a very competitive scene. So it would be nice to see all of these players trying to fight out with each other as we go into the first round of Castay. Kunal, unfortunately, an early bonk on the first turn. It is now just Winky Face, Chriso, and Einol all the way in front. Einol not having the best of outside lines, but Winky Face going all the way in front, having a lot of speed. This into the dirt turn. Whoever has the better line here will be the one who has the most speed. And currently, it is Winky Face still all the way in front. Chriso currently in second. Einol falling slightly behind. And it's now the fight for first place between both Chriso and Winky, both the Aussies. Both of them looking to take away the 1-2. Crystal having a really nice line, pulling ahead just by a slight bit, but Winky Face does seem to have just a teeny bit more speed and might be able to go for the snipe right here at the end, but no, it is Crystal managing to keep first place and Winky in second, Ionol in third, Kunal in fourth. All the players slowly moving up respectively, with Crystal getting the 10 points.
Quite good from Crystal if I don't say so myself.
It is really good from Crystal as we move into the next round for Castell. Winky Face trying to keep his lead away from Crystal because now it is slowly going down. The lead from Winky Face and Crystal is now just 6 points. Previously it was 10. Ionol and Kunal both having a 1 point differential between both of them, but it is Winky with a really nice line, unfortunately not having the most speed of the exit, that being Kunal actually overtaking Ionol, and Kunal hitting the side of the checkpoint, losing all of his speed. Ionol having a lot of speed, actually overtaking Winky Face, and now he's in the lead into the final jump. Crystal is looking to nab away 7 points for himself, going really wide, having a lot of speed. It is on to the ending, whether Ionol will hold it in front, and it seems like it is a 1-2-3. Ionol first, Winky Face second, Crystal third, and Kunal actually falling behind just by a tiny bit, a few misplays from him.
Oh, actually managing to get the snipe and get 10 points to slowly narrow the gap between second and third.
And into the third round we go. All of the players seems to be pretty even on this track, other than Kunal not performing as best as he could. Now it is on to the first turn, the outside drift. This is a very crucial part of the round, and Kunal once again bonking, flying off into the side. Maybe the pressure and the nerves are getting to him, but Ionol slowly taking the lead. Winky Face goes on the sand a bit, might lose on some speed, but still manages to hold on. Crystal going into the drift, not going really high up, might lose on some speed, but this is Ionol slowly moving up into second. Winky might be just looking to hold on to his first place position on this round. The three of them still having only a 0.1 difference between them. It is into the final turn. Anything can still happen, but it seems like the 1-2-3 is solidified. Both the Australians, Winky Face, Crystal taking 1 and 2, Ionol in third, Kunal in fourth.
Could this be the upset that we were talking about where Crystal actually gets second position?
This could be the upset that we were talking about. It seems like the Australians so far are pulling ahead. As we move into, I think it's the last round of this track. All of these players still really close together, but wait, something happened somewhere. Crystal seems to have bonked early on, and now it is time for Kunal maybe to redeem himself, as he has been not doing the best for the past few rounds, but Winky Face definitely having really good pace on this track, holding on first place once again. We go into the high drift. All the players seem to have really high speed going into the big grass turn, but it's Winky Face all the way in front. Ionol does manage to overtake Kunal, moving up into second position. It is just Winky Face and Ionol both fighting for first, but it seems like Winky Face does have a sizable lead. A 0.2 gap between the two, and that is Winky Face once again pulling out with a 10-pointer.
Another 10 points for Winky, and that's going to solidify his lead at 67 points. Ionol actually managing to get up to 48 there. Still not enough to overtake Crystal at 49. 1 point separating these two as we do move into the next map, which I believe should be Wisteria. Wisteria, the beautiful map that was actually the undoing for Winky.
For a lot of players, actually. This track is one to drive, and it's also really difficult to play consistent. And from what we've seen, Kunal a bit on the nervous side, not managing to pull out as many rounds as he should, hitting at the wall, maybe pushing a bit too hard. But on this track, it's just whether who can stay alive the longest. It's a survival-based map. Every single turn, as long as you just not hit the wall, you should be having a good 7 or 10 points.
Yeah, and I just noticed on that grass turn as well, that is a bit of extra speed if you manage to go over on the right, where that is that bit of rail, because obviously that's it's platform material which is similar to tarmac, so you're going to be keeping a lot more speed on that. You will lose your drift, but if you can readjust your drift, you're going to get that bit of extra speed, and that may be able to help you out on the early corners. Coming onto it later, obviously we do have this grass section, which was Winky's undoing previously. But then we have the risky finish, which we have seen Kuda miss by going too low. Still anyone's game with this one. It's quite a difficult map.
Yep, like you said, that bit of speed will help out at the end of the day, but it's still risky to go for that because it's such a small gap that if you do clip your edge with your wheels, that's the round gone. And with the caliber of players in the grand finals, we might see all 4 players actually driving really consistent on this track as we move into the first round. We have Einol already immediately hitting off to the side, losing a lot of speed early on. And it is currently in first Kunal, the one who did underperform the previous round, but it looks like he is going for redemption. Winky Face having a lot of speed, now pulling ahead. Chriso moving a bit too much to the side and actually hits the wall. And it's Einol moving up to third. Kunal getting second and Einol accidentally hitting the side again. It's just the fight for first between both Kunal and Winky Face. It is still anyone's game. It's on to the end part. This grass part, does meet Winky with the side of the track, and it is just Kunal. A safe 10 points for him. A great comeback. Einol actually getting 7, so now it's both the Taipan players moving ahead of the bench in this round itself.
Yeah, rather unfortunate to see Winky have a bonk like that, but keep in mind that is where he bonked previously. That grass quarter pipe seems to be Winky's menace, but that is still a comfortable lead. 20 points over Chriso, and Einol's actually able to move into that second position. As we do go into the next round, we have all the players keeping relatively close together. It's the start. If you expect anything less, I mean, it's interesting lines. That's what we call it. We call it uniqueness. As we do have Kunal actually taking an early lead, but Winky is going to be fighting for that position. Kunal is able to keep a steadier drift all around, but it's going to be Winky keeping a lot more speed on that section. Kunal actually keeping smooth lines, able to hold as much speed as possible, heading into that uphill drift, hitting it smoothly onto the grass and holding it steady. We do have Einol. Everyone's actually close together. It's going to be Chriso who's going to be moving up to that third position, right on Kunal and Winky. And it's going to be Einol, unfortunately, taking a bonk, and that's going to knock him out. But will Winky be able to recover? And Winky actually takes the round with Chriso in second, Kunal, I believe, taking a bonk, having to go into a safe finish for that third. No! Einol sniped him! Einol sniped him last second, takes the third place, and Kunal's left with 3 points.
Now, it is still a 1 point gap between second place, but Winky Face, this might just be his track all of a sudden. He's playing quite consistent so far, other than the grass half pipe, which is pretty difficult to drive on its own. All the other players seem to be quite consistent, not as much bongs as we've seen from the previous round, and so far we have not seen a full clean round from all 4 players at once. But it does seem like so far none of the players have hit any walls yet, and they all move on to one of the first drifts of the round into the drop down over the dirt part. It seems like all the way in front is Kunal. Winky Face right behind him, but Winky not having the best of entries and still manages to keep speed. Chriso actually falters and hits the wall, and now it is Einol all the way in front. It seems like both Winky and Kunal had a bit of a hiccup, and that is a new best time for this round, 43.1, respectable time.
Unfortunately, this round seemed to be everyone deciding to crash into the wall, because we did have Chriso, who managed to get through relatively cleanly, but then bonked. Winky bonking on the grass quarter pipe once again, and Kunal bonking on the middle of the circle near the end. And so everyone seems to be having a rough time on this map. Winky's not a huge fan of it as we do head into the next round. We do have Chriso actually going up on the wall, like the wall start. So that does mean he's going to lose a little bit of speed, but able to recover it. He's going to be sticking very close to Kunal, basically inside his car. All 3 of these players are on top of each other. Einol, unfortunately, taking a bit of an early deficit. He's about 0.6 behind, but he still has chances to recover. We've seen players crash the end, so it's still anyone's game on this map. We have Winky Face still in the lead. Chriso moving up into that second position as they jump across onto the dirt. Chriso takes a poor line, but Kunal keeps a lot of speed there, keeping up with Winky and moving into that second spot. So they head onto this drift here. Kunal actually gets the better landing out of that one. He's going to jump and bonk into the plastic and take the round from Winky by 0.1. Einol and Chriso dueling it out for that third and fourth, but Chriso manages to overtake as well. Congratulations to Kunal for taking that round. That was a smooth game.
It seems like the standings are still very unclear, other than Winky Face being ahead by 20 points right now compared to everyone else. Einol not managing to finish, so that will put him in a 1 point deficit compared to Chriso. He would have been up by 2 if he did manage to finish, but unfortunately he is now in third place, 1 point behind, and Kunal actually in fourth.
It's interesting that with that, it's going to be 1 point deficit, because consider the fact that if Winky can hold steady and take out finalists and then win, it's going to be Chriso if he's 1 point ahead who's going to take second place, providing the upset that we're talking about. Einol needs to work hard in these next few maps to make sure he can get those few extra points to hold on to this. Otherwise, it's game over. It's third place.
And just another thing to note, this is Winky's best map as we've seen. He pulled a regular 44, I think, like just really, really sick times. Sorry, 46. Yeah. So currently, the ending will be very weird because we don't have a second finalist if one player manages to finish first, which in this case will be Winky. The tiebreaker will be the points at the final round. So if Aino manages to pull just a few more points ahead of Chriso, he will be crowned second. Or if Chriso manages to stay ahead, it will stay second. And Kunal still having the chance to pull ahead if he manages to win 2 rounds in a row. It's still anyone's game. It's still too early to put anyone out. But Winky seems like he will be entering finalists this round.
No, it won't be this round because we're going to 140 points. So it's going to mean that we're going to be playing this map in its entirety. Even if Winky Face wins everything, he's got to go get finalists on the next map. But as we do get started with this round, we do have Kunal currently in first place. Winky actually keeping more speed and moving his way into first place. It's going to be Kunal trying to fight his way forward, but Winky's getting the better drift on that one, keeping close to the wall, trying to get that corner as clean as possible. Into the dirt, he's got a very clean line as Kunal actually goes a bit earlier onto the side to try and keep the gear. Chriso is right there as well, trying to fight for that position, but Einol's finally fallen back a little bit, and it's going to be him trying to fight his way into third position. Kunal, bulk in the side of CP means that the 2 Australians can move up. It's going to be Winky Face in that first position, who's going to be going clean on the outside, not going for the full risk, knowing he's got that dub. A new best time by Winky with a 55.1 in this match. We will have to see if that can be improved to a 54.
Winky has done really well on this track. And currently, it is really close between all the players in second to fourth place. Winky Face now in 104. My mistake just now, it is 140 points in order to reach finalists. So currently, Winky Face is still ahead by a sizable amount. But it's still anyone's game as we get into the round. All the players so far, no mishaps happening. Everyone having a really clean outside line. Chriso does seem like he's falling behind just by a tiny bit. Who now seems to have a lot of speed, overtaking Aino. And now Winky Face as well, all the way in the lead. Aino drops from first to third, but that is Kunal, unfortunately, going a bit too wide and hitting the side of the wall. It's now just Aino and Winky Face fighting for first position, but it seems like Winky Face is very far ahead. And Chriso now in third, Kunal in fourth. Winky Face in the lead. It seems like he's just looking to close out this game, reaching as many points as he can. But I know this second place will help him out a lot. But he does almost get sniped. Chriso almost snipes him. I know almost missing the finish. But he manages and he moves on. So now 83 points, 3 points difference.
3 point difference is still something you can't overlook. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how we go into this one. You do have the start of the round. Chris are going a little bit wider, but that actually does keep you with better gear as you do jump into this section. It's got to be everyone kind of close. Chris is still behind. I believe that was Aino who bonks out, and that's going to move him down to fourth place. Not great in the position he's in, but Kunal's going to be fighting his way forward. Will he be able to get himself that first position? Winky Face may be too far ahead at this point, and it's going to be Winky Face who's just got to hold himself steady, and that's going to be Kunal going into second position. As we do have this exit out of the dirt, everyone's keeping clean. Chriso's right there as well, trying to fight into that second position, knowing that he can get that second position over Kunal. As we do have this uphill drift, it's very clean from everyone. We do have Winky Face, who does go a little bit short on that drift, and it does mean that Kunal is able to catch up. Will Kunal be able to risk on this final corner and do it? And unfortunately not. It does mean Kunal... Oh no! Winky Face bonks the ending, and Chriso takes the 10 points, steals it away from him, and Kunal gets second with Aino in third and Winky fourth. That is unfortunate for Winky, putting him a bit further from that finalist.
Now Chriso just moves ahead by a huge point lead compared to Aino. So now it seems like Chriso is looking to maintain his second position as we go into the last round of Euphoria. Winky Face 117 points, just merely 23 points away from finalists. And Chriso as well, definitely maintaining his position really well. But as I say that, Winky does fly into the side of the wall, so now it is anyone's game to get that 10 points. Currently in the lead, we do have Kunal and Chriso right behind him. Chriso having a lot of speed. Actually, no, Einol currently fighting for first place with Chriso. And right behind them, it is Kunal trying to keep up with both the players. Winky Face did suffer an early exit, so this 10 point for any one of the players will be very big in terms of their positioning. Currently, Kunal trying to creep up to both the players in front. Einol not having the best of uphills, so Kunal having a lot of speed might be able to overtake. Now it is Chriso going into the end. Einol, all three players going to the end, but it is stabilized, and Chriso with the 10 points moving far ahead. And Einol into Kunal in second. Winky Face looking to finish all the way at the back. It seems like a bit of a misplay from Winky, but it does give Chriso a bit of a lead.
17 points between Chriso at 103 and Winky at 120. 13 points with Einol at third place at 90, and then 6 points to Kunal. At this point, it seems like Chriso may be too far in the lead to catch up as we do head into the next map. Winky just has to win 3 of the 4 rounds on this map, and we have our champion of the APAC Monthly August. But we know that Winky can pull at good times. We know Chriso can pull at good times. We've seen Einol pull at some really good times here. It is still anyone's game. We may be moving back to Wisteria before we actually see a winner.
Even if Winky does reach finalist mode, he still has to get first place, which is not easy against these players. He still has to maintain that first position, and he has to finish out, even if he reaches finalist.
Yeah, and I believe that win is going to be something interesting, because reaching finalist is nothing. Getting the win on top of that is where it's at. If Winky can prove his consistency, that's going to be a dub for him, but at the same time, we've seen him fail rounds. We've got the tiebreakers as well, which is going to be interesting, because if we have a couple of players reach finalists, it could be anyone's game with the tiebreakers with 2 finalists. It's going to be second being the other finalists. Third and fourth are going to be the ones with the points. But if we have 3 finalists, which still is possible at this point, it's got to be who gets the better placement in the round with the finalists. So it's still anyone's game.
It's about who reaches finalists earlier, and it's also about who currently right now maintains the most points, because the tiebreaker is that, you know, whoever has most points will move on, and I think that is Kunal flying off to the side. It is now just Winky and Einol, first and second. Chriso very close behind Einol. Seems like he has a lot of speed and he manages to overtake. So it's a 1-2-3 position. Winky, Chriso, Einol, all of them seem to be in a very comfortable position as we go into the third turn. Seems like Winky is looking to take home another 10 points, inching his way closer to the finalist role. But Einol now maintaining second. This 7 points would be very useful for him, as Chriso gets 5 points and Kunal creeping in at fourth, getting 3 points.
Einol actually managed to snipe on that final corner, managed to get a better drift on the grass, and was able to actually overtake and get those points, but it may not be enough at this point as we do head into the next round. Winky Face 10 points away from that finalist spot. We do head into the jump and everyone's keeping clean lines. It's actually Winky who's not even in the front. It's going to be Einol who tries to overtake, but isn't enough speed. Got Winky moving up into that first position. Will Kunal make it across the pipe? And he does. It means that we've got 3 people right inside each other as we do have Winky taking a good line on that. Chriso likes to take a bit of a wider line on the dirt, but it means he's got more speed into this uphill drift, which means with a slight readjustment, he's keeping a lot more speed than Kunal, who seems to be wobbling. Maybe it's nerves for Kunal, maybe it's just a bad line, but Chriso actually able to keep a lot more speed on that section, get into the grass corner. Will he be able to hold it over Winky? Winky actually getting a better line out of that, and this may be Winky able to get his 10 points he needs going into finalist. Chriso very close, 23 milliseconds in second place, and then Einol and Kunal in third and fourth.
Now we have Winky Face in finalist mode, and it seems like Chriso is looking to maintain his second position. If the round does end here, no matter what Einol does, it will be Chriso getting second place. So it looks like it's one of the players' job to deny Winky from getting the first place, and now he must be really nervous, Winky Face. Imagine being in this position, grand finals, and he's in finalist. Unfortunately, Einol does bonk early on, and it seems like the only one to deny Winky Face right now is the one ahead of him, which is Chriso. Currently, Crystal, as we said, he likes to go for the wide line, maintaining a lot of speed. But it seems like Winky is in the lead. It seems like this is the round where Winky just takes it home and win it all. But it's still anyone's game as Kunal slowly creeps up right behind him. He does have the speed advantage. Unfortunately, Winky Face does have the better line. It's all up to the ending. If Kunal manages to snipe Winky Face here, it will be a continuous run. But it seems like Winky Face is your APAC monthly August champion. And with that, Crystal in second, Aino in third, and that's Kunal in fourth. It seems like the Australians do beat out the Asians at the end of the day. Well played from all the players.
I was honestly surprised. I really thought Kunal would take second place, but unfortunately, it is going to be an upset for Kunal moving into that fourth position. Congratulations to Winky and Chriso, the two Australians that we have in the finals. Winky being an APAC monthly champion for August, getting himself 10 APAC points, and Chriso in that second place getting 6 points. Aino in third is able to get the 4 points, and Kunal is able to get the 3 points there with that one. As you can see, we have the final standings. Congratulations to Winky Face getting his 10 USD, which comes to about 16 Australian. So he can go and get himself a nice meal from Macca's, you know, get himself a nice Big Mac feed. But congratulations to them. For all my Australians in chat, we need to get an Aussie, and you need to respond.
Indeed, the Oceanians really take it home. The badge players, Crystal, managing to upset both the Taipan players, like we've said. He does have the potential to beat one of them, but I really did not expect him beating both the Taipan players. Very unfortunate for Kunal. We did put him pretty high on our standings. We predicted him to be second, but unfortunately, the nerves just got to him, man. Like, there's not much to say. The grand final nerves just really got to him.
Yeah, it did come down to grand final nerves. I've seen Kunal manage to keep some good times previously, but unfortunately it does appear the nerves got to him on that map, and it will be him getting that fourth position. It does mean 2 Australians winning, Taipan taking second place overall with that. Congratulations to everyone for competing though. These were some really good rounds. As you can see, a lot of really good matches here. Winky Face, consistent, top of the standings, top of the first round, top of the second round, top of the grand final. Win. He's just walking home with a lot of gold medals, really proud. We've got some other really good matches there where we had Winky Face and Chriso who managed to move forward from that match. That match with the Australians was really, really good content.
It was. But yeah, as you can see from the brackets, we did have a few cool runs from certain players. We have Calva's run, which we watched over. We have Amentrius and Chriso. That was a pretty intense battle. And yeah, so far this tournament has been really great. As we can see from the standing, Winky Face does go back with 10 FP points. Chriso with 6 FP points. Aino with 4 FP points. And Kunal with 3 FP points. And if you're not sure what these points do, it's not fully confirmed yet. But yes, at the end of the year, it will amount up to something. So all of the FastPoint competitions will give you FP points from now on. And at the end of the year, there might be a little perk. It could be anything. So it's your time to sort of go into these competitions and start to gain these points.
Keep in mind as well, folks, the points are regional. So the APAC will be competing against APAC. EMEA will be competing against EMEA. So you'll be seeing those as different brackets. With the 10 points for Winky, it's going to be putting him quite comfortably in the lead as well. All the regions are basically competing against themselves. They're not going to be competing against each other. But APAC points are still important. I still hope it's a mug at the end. I really want a FP mug. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be really cool. I would like to just drink coffee out of my FP mug while I'm casting in the next APAC monthly. That would be really cool. But yeah, every region has their own FP points. But we'll see what it does at the end of the year. And to clarify in the chat, the winner for this APAC monthly is Winky. Winky Face, the man himself.
Congratulations to Winky.
Congratulations.
The Australian legend, the absolute god, the second place in Australia, proving that he deserves that second place in Australia spot. It is quite a good placement from him. And overall, like, really fun matches tonight. We got to see a lot of really close competitions. We got to see some upsets. We got to see Kuda, who was supposed to be the one to go forward for the semis and got knocked out in the final round of his game by not being able to hit the finish. Rather upsetting, but at the same time, it was a good round where Kelva got to move forward, but Kelva couldn't produce on that. And that does mean he was knocked out, unfortunately.
And for everyone who tried and didn't get into the top 16, it's alright. You know, there's still the next APAC Monthly. You can still join in, you know, take it as experience. You join in, you compete with all these players, you start to, you know, see yourself in a different perspective. You know, because being a casual player and being a competitive player is two very different things. And, you know, we will always like to introduce new players into the scene. Every APAC Monthly is open to anyone. We don't limit it to, you know, top how many players. It's for you. You can join. And next week, we do have the EMEA Monthly FastPoint competition. And tomorrow, we do have the Middle East and Africa tournament as well. The first in their region. The Trackmania Championship for Middle East and Africa. And if you like to support FastPoint, you can always do !skins and go buy the FastPoint seasonal skins to support us here. Support the players, you know, keep the competition going. Yep.
I believe that's all. Just make sure you can support us with that. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to be watching the Middle East and Africa TM Championship go on. It's going to be some exciting games. But signing off for now, I've been your host, the beautiful Australian caster, the Thunder from Down Under, Edamame TV. Joining me, we've got the beautiful Malaysian caster, Seal Wall. And we will see you guys next time.
See you all soon. We'll see you next time. Peace.